said he did not believe a woman could win. The Sanders campaign called the allegation a lie, and in a statement, Senator Sanders said this, quote, "It is ludicrous to believe that at the same meeting where Elizabeth Warren told me she was going to run for president, I would tell her that a woman couldn't win. What I did say that night was that Donald Trump is a sexist, a racist, and a liar who would weaponize whatever he could."
Meanwhile, Mr. Trump holding a rally in Wisconsin tonight. A voter registration purge is put on pause in Wisconsin.
A Wisconsin appeals court puts on hold an order to immediately remove 209,000 names from the state's voter registration rolls. A judge last month ordered the removal, siding with a conservative law firm that sued to have voters unregistered who had not responded to a letter asking whether they'd moved. The same judge then held the 3 Democrats on the state's bipartisan elections commission in contempt for not complying. Well, now the contempt ruling is on hold as well, and the court fight is unlikely to be resolved before the November presidential election. The commission wanted to wait until after that to do the purge. Chris Foster, Fox News.
Those massive wildfires in Australia cast a dark smoke across that country, and now it could stop the first major tennis event of the season before it starts, the Australian Open. Fox's Jared Max explains.
Dangerous air quality could force the tournament to reschedule, either to move many matches indoors at adjacent Melbourne Park or delay the Grand Slam tournament. Conditions overnight described by Victoria State's chief health officer as the worst in the world. One qualifier, retired with breathing problems, said it was unfair she was asked to play.
The main draw is beginning on Monday. I'm CJ Papa. This is Fox News.
Cocoa Coffee Company is now available at Circle K. Single origin coffee beans carefully sourced and locally roasted to give you the freshest cup of coffee Guam has to offer. Grab a cup that's brewed every 30 minutes or purchase a bag of the locally roasted whole beans. Flavors now serving: light medium roasted Ethiopia and medium dark roasted Jamaican Blue Mountain. Exclusively available at Circle K. With every Cocoa Coffee Company purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Cocoa Recovery Program.
Go green, go hybrid. Go to Nanbo Insurance, and your next power bill is on us. Insure your hybrid car at Nanbo and get up to $350 towards your next power bill. That's instant savings for keeping our island clean and green. Nanbo has been providing Guam with over 50 years of reliable and affordable auto insurance. At Nanbo, it pays to go green. Terms and conditions apply. Visit nanbo.com or call 477-9754 for details.
It's hard to believe, but Security Title is 20 years old. Reaching this milestone is a clear testament to the hard work of our employees, who are as passionate about our work as we are about our community. We are most grateful for the realtors, lenders, attorneys, investors, and the buyers and sellers we serve. They are the reason our doors have been open for 20 years. Security Title looks back with gratitude for the past 20 years and looks forward with optimism to the next 20. Thank you, Guam.
Day and good morning. It's 6:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyron, and here are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. He won't have to spend any time in jail, but a Guam police officer arrested for drunk driving back in 2018 will serve a year on probation. Dennis A.Q. Santos admitted that he was drunk when he was driving a government vehicle that crashed into a family's car on July 4th of 2018. Santos will also have his driver's license suspended for 6 months. However, will be allowed to drive for work. The judge also required him to report to probation every month, and he must stay away from alcohol, to include bars and lounges that sell alcohol. Santos, who was off duty that night, had a blood alcohol level that was 3 times the legal limit when he ran a red light and crashed into a vehicle turning from the Kmart intersection. Gary Hawkins attended yesterday's hearing. His wife and 3 children were in the car that was struck by the unmarked official vehicle. The youngest of Hawkins' children was 4 years old at the time. The entire family was treated for injuries. Santos was ordered to pay $12,000 to the victims. He must also perform 150 hours of community service. Following the crash, Santos was placed on administrative leave with pay and then took sick leave for his injuries. GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau said details of the action taken against Santos cannot be disclosed because it is a personnel issue. The case against former Department of Corrections officer Frankie Rosalind has been closed. Rosalind pleaded guilty to official conduct as a misdemeanor in August of 2019 and was spared jail time. His plea agreement states that he'll be on probation until August of 2021. Adult Probation Services told the court on Tuesday that Rosalind has completed the terms of his probation, which resulted in the judge closing the case. He was among 13 prisoners and prison workers indicted in September of 2017 in a scheme to bring methamphetamine, cell phones, and other contraband into the Mangilao prison for 2 maximum security inmates. Phone records show there were conversations between 2 maximum security inmates, Rosalind, and other corrections officers. The text messages were sent between May and the end of July 2017. Inmates Sean Johnson and Rosalind communicated back and forth about bringing contraband into DOC when the shakedowns were going to occur. Multiple references indicated that the contraband that they were referring to was methamphetamine. Several other defendants in the contraband scheme have taken similar plea deals with the government. Investigators have the passports of the man and woman whose bodies were pulled from one of the lakes at the Guam International Country Club in Dededo on Friday, but they're not ready to release their names as they are still reaching out to family members. Police have confirmed, though, that the victims are from Japan and they are working with the Japan consulate. The incident occurred just hours after the pair had registered as guests at the golf course. The case was classified as a drowning, but authorities have yet to determine or say how the incident occurred. Investigators are waiting for an autopsy to be performed on the 2 to determine their exact cause of death. Meanwhile, a Navy aircrewman with the Helicopter Sea Combat Squadron 25 died in a snorkeling incident this weekend in Pidi. The Navy confirmed the identity of the officer, his petty officer, 3rd Class Daniel Perez from California. Perez was found unresponsive in the water near Fisheye Marine Park on Saturday, where he was snorkeling with friends. He was taken to Naval Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The Navy says that he is 22 years old. More news after this.
We understand what matters to you because at Docomo Pacific, we're a family too. With the Now Family program, Mom, Dad, and kids stay connected on the latest devices the whole family can enjoy. For just $155 a month, get 3 lines with 30 gigs of 4G LTE data each, and endless use of your favorite apps without affecting your monthly data bucket. Add more, get more, save more. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
Chili's 2 for $25 is back. Start with an appetizer to share. Then choose 2 entrees like our mouth-watering old-timer with cheeseburger or the Cajun chicken pasta, grilled chicken with penne and Alfredo sauce, and chili spices. Feeling extra? Upgrade to a personal fajita or our famous half-rack ribs. Bring a friend or a date to Chili's and get 2 entrees for $25. Located on the 2nd floor of Tumon Sands Plaza. Chili's. More life happens here.
It's been almost a year since the retirement of the last forensic pathologist, and still the government of Guam has not filled that position. Dr. Aurelio Espinola retired, and the Office of the Attorney General has faced a number of challenges in finding a new medical examiner. Carlina Charfris, the spokeswoman at the AG's office, says the pool of candidates is small, with only about 700 to 800 forensic pathologists throughout the United States. The salary for the new medical examiner may or may not be an issue, but it's been discussed in the previous commissions on post-mortem examination meetings. Charfer says that there's been some discussions with the Northern Marianas Attorney General's office to see if they can increase the salary to make it more attractive. Guam's chief medical examiner pays a range minimum $200,000 to a maximum of $250,000. At issue is that without a medical examiner, some cases can't move forward. Just as an example, the Guam Police Department still needs the autopsy results of a man who died after the apparent shooting in Mangilao in December. GPD's chief, Steve Ignacio, said last month, without a full-time examiner, the government of Guam has to wait for a part-time physician from Hawaii or Saipan to conduct autopsies. Well, former police officer Mark Torrey Jr.'s defense lawyer wants the medical examiner's prior testimony thrown out in Torrey's second trial. Judge Mike Berdalio heard arguments from the defense attorney, Jay Arriola's motion to exclude the prior testimony of Dr. Espinola. Espinola conducted the autopsy and issued the cause of death for the victim following fellow officer Bert Piolo. Espinola determined the cause of death was a homicide and testified in Torrey's first trial. Torrey and Piolo were fellow officers at the time of Piolo's death. They'd been out drinking together the night that Piolo was shot. Torrey was charged in Piolo's death, which he claims was a suicide. Espinola is currently residing in the Philippines, and the defense wants him to testify. The court believes that Espinola will be able to. However, the prosecution says he's not yet responded. Judge Bordalio is taking the matter under advisement. And there is a public hearing taking place this afternoon at the legislature. That hearing will be on 6 bills that deal with public safety. This hearing is by Senator Therese Chalahi. Of the bills on the agenda, they seek to address the maximum and minimum sentencing guidelines for people convicted on charges that range from robbery, criminal sexual conduct, and crimes against tourists, and another bill that would deal with the pretrial release of arrestees who are arrested on such charges. That hearing begins at 1 o'clock in the Legislative Public Hearing Room. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
It says here mostly cloudy, becoming partly cloudy by late morning. Isolated light showers. Northeast winds 10 to 20 miles an hour today. Daytime highs about 87 degrees. Overnight lows are 76 degrees. The sunset tonight 6:12. So alert the others and make sure that you find your perfect Wednesday spot for another incredible night of sunsets. The last 3 nights have just been gorgeous out there. Might be a gorgeous sunrise this morning. We'll find out about 6:47 as it breaks the plain. High risk of rip currents along east-facing reefs this evening through Friday. Again, high risk of rip currents through Friday along east-facing reefs all over the island. I'd love to show you the weather radar this morning, but they're having some computer problems. They've got a SQL issue. Their database is unavailable on the World Wide Web. So it looks like Michael and I are going to have to fill you in on what's happening with the weather from the actual satellite map.
Actually, satellite showing real good what's going on. The radar isn't showing much. I was able to tap into the radar earlier on my phone. Yeah. Just a few isolated showers out there, but they'll probably wind down as the sun comes up and dries things out. It'll be a lot like yesterday afternoon was, where there was nothing. There was just nothing. Just a few clouds and things. You know, I sent you a message during the day and talked about the haze. It really was really hazy yesterday, and certainly that couldn't have been from the fire that was put out earlier that morning into morning.
So maybe there is a little bit of stuff coming in from...
Yeah, it could very well be that something has circulated into the certain layers of the atmosphere. And it really made for great color on yesterday's sunset. I just sent to the Point WhatsApp the picture I took yesterday from my porch when I looked out and was in awe of the sunset. No filter on that picture either. Those S10Es, they really don't need it. And it was...
I'm not getting it. Can you send it again?
I can.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that.
But anyway...
I'm not... you know what I do have on the Marilou Berseman sent this in, and it's one of the things that... you take a look at this. This will put the fear of God in you and make you avoid going to places like the Philippines where there is ash fall out there, and it's not like ash. The rest of this, there's a great bunch of responses from... this is a Facebook post you can find on Viral Photos, VIRAL space photos on the Facebook, and this is a shot of the woman's eyes, and she's just walking around the Philippines like everybody else does. But the ash fall, like I said, it's not ash like you'd get from a fire, a brush fire out there in the boondocks or something like that. These are actually microscopic pieces of glass that are falling from the sky, and that's why you're not supposed to breathe the stuff. C, we don't want you flying airplanes into it, and B, make sure that you've got some kind of eye protection because this stuff will get in there. And I'm not going to zoom in on that picture because it'll put you off your breakfast. Yeah, because it's a bad eyeball cut.
Yeah, it just keeps making me want to rub my eye.
Don't rub your eyes while you're watching.
Yeah, that's the other thing they're telling Filipino residents is that bring their pets in too, because the pets can really be affected by this sort of thing. They'll breathe it, they'll get it in their eyes, and it can really be a big problem. So and we'll talk more about Taal, I'm sure, but
coming up in the conversations. Absolutely. It's 6:16 in the morning. So that's news and weather together, brought to you by the guys over at Bank Pacific, banking on the Pacific for 65 years.
Yikes, are those Christmas bills coming in already? Those high-interest credit cards at 16, 18, even 24%? Well, we have a New Year's solution for you. A Bank Pacific personal loan with rates as low as 4.65% to pay off those expensive credit cards. It's easy, it's fast, and it's as low as 4.65% APR.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal credit opportunity lender as low as 4.65%. Conditions apply.
Yeah, buddy. Portions of the program brought to you by American President Lines, APL Global Presence, with a local home and the team over at Wendy's. They know you need to save money after spending for the holidays, so Wendy's is helping you with their $4 meal. You get chicken nuggets, fries, a drink, and your choice of either a double stack, junior cheeseburger, or a chicken sandwich, or a junior bacon cheeseburger. Personally, I'd go after the one with the Wendy's, because nobody bacon's better than Wendy's. Wendy's, 4 for $4, the best deal in town. Why go anywhere else at Wendy's? Now that's just better.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
it. I'm convinced if you got to get stuck someplace because the airplanes can't fly into wherever it is that you're headed to, if you can possibly manage it, get stuck on Guam. I'll tell you why that is a true fact in just a little bit.
Just don't get stuck in Guam's airport. Oh my gosh, we have the boringest airport in the entire world.
Yeah, well, but the good news is...
Oh, I take it back. No, Philippines is pretty boring.
The Philippines, yeah. The terminal, whatever it is where Philippine Airlines flies out of. I want to say, what is that, Terminal 3 or something like that, the old one?
Yeah, but the Philippines has many more eating establishments in their airport, so at least you got a better variety of things to go eat.
It depends what terminal you're in.
Philippine Air,
the United one is good. The United terminal, the one you fly out of United, it's awesome. I forget what it is. It's the one that I was in the last time. So unless you've got Mabuhay Lounge access, you're screwed. There's nothing to do there. You can get a 15-minute back rub or something like that. There's a massage. There might be 2 or 3 places that sell food there that are about as palatable as what you remember your cafeteria food being like in high school. And then the rest of it is little DFS places, duty-free little shops and things like that with stuff that I've never ever seen anybody buy other than cigarettes. So yeah, that is a boring airport. And I got stuck in there once for 7 hours, and I thought I was going to lose my mind.
And you didn't leave?
At the time, I had not yet made the arrangements, and it wasn't supposed to be as long a layover as it turned out to be. And when it was
done,
get
me stuck in the Singapore airport.
Oh, now there's a nice place. So at the end of at that long layover, this is what I look like here with the bloodshot eyes and just just screaming in pain and terror because I couldn't stand it. Otherwise, it's a wonderful experience. I mean, that's very common. You talk to people that go back and forth to the Philippines, and they'll tell you what a great time it is and the wonderful food and the people and the cultures and the fun that you can have when you go to the Philippines, and it is absolutely ruined by the last 2 or 3 hours that you've got to spend in the airport. But the guys around here apparently they got Wendy's big sponsor of the show, and the guys around here got treated to some food from Wendy's. About 100 people received meals from Wendy's Guam franchisee June Espaldon. Got a call about 9:15 on Monday. There was a need for food for about 100 passengers, so we put together a bagged meal including sandwich, fries, and nuggets, and then they went over to Cold Stone Creamery, one of their other businesses, and got some canned drinks for everybody. So yeah, a lot of Guam hospitality was going out. So that's why I say if you got to get stuck someplace, get stuck on Guam. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. It's the Ray Gibson Show. Baby sister Mona Silva Tyron handling news responsibilities, and we got Michael Knight in the other side in the other studio. He'll answer the phone when you call at 888-8255. That's 888-TALK. And if you don't want to call because it's 2020 and you just prefer to use technology, then send me stuff on our WhatsApp 988-5874. That's 988-5874. And take a look at some of the pictures, some of the images that we've already got here at some point this morning. Michael Knight has got a picture that we'd like to share with you this morning.
Had my finger on a different button.
No, I'll never ever stop doing that gag. 6:21. So that's a shot of the sunset from out back of Michael Knight's place last night. Just a gorgeous picture. We got some pinks in there,
pinks,
and
purples,
some
blues. I mean, man, that's what made me take the picture. I was just about going to bed at that time, but I saw a little bit of faint light in the front window, so I looked out the blinds and said, "Wow." Wow, I got to check that out.
What time do you go to sleep, Michael?
About 6:37. I'm bored. I have nothing to do but sleep.
So
I don't sleep well anyway, so I go to bed kind of early. That way I can toss and turn with more hours.
Yeah, well, they're tossing and turning, and we're all familiar with that. This is going to be, folks, and I'm not going to apologize for it because it happens from time to time, but there might be a little bit of a low energy in the show today. Not from me. I'll tell you that right now. I got my coffee. I get some sleep. But Mana has been up since what, midnight last night?
12:30.
12:30. Why? Now what happened?
I just woke up and couldn't go back to sleep. So, I try to get up and then go to the living room and read a little bit and just see if I can put myself back to sleep.
Yeah.
No,
nothing like that. But you found a way.
I got into everybody else's feed. I was just spying on everybody and just Facebook stalking people.
See what everybody is up to. Yeah, there's always social media, and unfortunately, social media doesn't put you to sleep.
And then every once in a while, people, I don't know how it is. I don't know how to turn it off. But then people see me online. They want to chat. I'm like, I'm not chatting with you.
I'm just
on Facebook at 2 in the morning. No.
So there might be a little bit of a low energy here today, and we've got coffee for people around here that drink coffee. But I told Mon, I said,
I don't drink coffee.
I'm going to give you some extra Joss. Extra Joss. Now, if you've ever been in the Philippines, you know what this is. There are some countries that won't sell it because people have died from it. But the caveat is they've died because some people have a allergic reaction to royal jelly. So they actually put royal jelly right here on the front of the sachet to identify this as something that might have an ingredient that will kill you if you're allergic to it. That, and I suppose royal jelly is also pretty good for you.
I don't know if I'm allergic or not. What is it? Is it like honey?
You're going to love this.
I've never even heard of royal jelly.
You've never heard of it? Okay, but it's apparently you can use it as I don't know. You can fill if you got a flat tire, you put some royal jelly in a tube and you squeeze it in there.
Oh, it's like CBD.
Yeah, stuff like that. So it's got Korean ginseng and active royal jelly in it, and a few other things. It is the same thing as how do I want to say that? You ever see those Monster Energy drinks like that? Okay, so it's the same thing in powder form. So you take this and you put it in a cup about a coffee size cup of water, and you pour it in, and it will effervesce for a couple of minutes, and then you drink that down, and you will
I'm going to try it, and I'll be the guinea pig so everyone can see my energy change.
I take this I don't want to say on a regular basis, but depending on what I'm up to. If I'm waking up early and I know I got to do a race or something like that, I'll pour some of this extra Joss in and have one of those. Wakes me up a little bit and kind of energizes you. And then the other one, and I don't have any on me right now. I was going to buy some yesterday and then got distracted. Is this Korean kind of energy drink called Oronomen-C? Little tiny bottle. So it's tasty and it will energize you. Unfortunately, I didn't bring any with me in the morning. 6:25. Got a lot to get to here, but the most important part of the program is right here.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, Mary Lou saying, oh, so that's your secret, Ray. No, my secret for the 5Ks is chasing Gandaka like you. We've got, the guys like Al Bautista, who's listening to the broadcast now from Killeen, Texas. And I got to say, that just, it warms my heart. I mean, I know when you're here, you listen to the station. I know that when you're here, you're watching on Facebook Live. But it's just awesome for me to know that even when you're far, far away from Guam and on deployment or whatever, that you still have a need. You still feel like you've got to be part of the broadcast. That's awesome. Anyway, Al comes in at number 1. There's John Ray Titano. James Howard is online. I see Rico Blancaflor is there as well. Ismael Nate Horn. Yoich Rengil is online. I got Sherry Iriarty. JB St. Nicholas, the super shopper for the Ray Gibson Show. And Heather Pears is online as well. Ken LG, what's he saying? Out of fear of yet another reinstatement and huge cash award, the GPD drunk driver Santos will be promoted and given a government of Guam paid trip to New Orleans at Mardi Gras to attend a special drunk driving course. Ooh, that's bad. But there's and that is in response to an entire front page of the Guam Daily Post where it talks about people getting away with crimes and not going to jail. That's if you take a look at it, that's what we got. No jail time for cop in drunken driving crash. And then we got case closed for ex-DOC guard Rosalind, who is also going to be getting away without any kind of jail time. I mean, they'll have other kind of forms of punishment, but given the nature of the crimes, I think the community's frustration with the criminal justice system and the fact that there seems to be not even a revolving door. I don't think there's a door anymore in the criminal justice system. It's just people wander in and go see a judge and they wander out.
It's harsh, I know, but I just don't understand how the system got this dysfunctional. I don't understand. It's just not done this way anywhere else.
But it's done like that here, and people are I think, becoming angry about it. If you are angry about looking at the front page of a newspaper with people that seem to be avoiding jail time while you plug along in your life, just following the rules and doing what it is that you need to do, and see everybody else basically getting away with it, there's a public hearing. I'll tell you more about that later. My buddy Joe Leaselangi, Samoan Joe, is online. Hafa John Santos, Dennis Mansour is there. Jess Mendiola is going to be hanging out with us all morning long. Hope to see you guys at the public hearing. Jess, you tell everybody that you know that they've got to be there for it so that we can get together with people over at the legislature like Senator Jimmy Moylan and tell them that we have had enough of criminals basically having their way with the justice on Guam.
I know we have to have the public hearings. It's part of the process, but they don't listen to us.
But
it's clear they don't listen to the people.
I don't know
in the
I don't know if
public
anybody's going to be listening to Jim Moylan. The problem is we've got these pieces of common sense legislation that have been introduced by a guy, and a Republican guy at that, in a Democrat lady-controlled legislature. And a reminder now, these are the same people that, for whatever reason, won't let Joe S. in August. Joe's got one piece of legislation that I appreciate in this term, and that is the Stand Your Ground legislation that has not. It was introduced almost a year ago and still has not gotten so much as a public hearing. All of the other things, the so-called priorities, pop into public hearings and they get the committee reports, and then before you know it, wow, we've got a new law. But something like this that removes the requirement to flee if possible when you've got a thug in your face that's terrorizing you and your family. Something as commonsensical as that gets no public hearing. Alicia Caneta's online. I got what's that, Dennis saying? Good morning, Ray, Mana, and Mike. Right on. Keenan McCausland. Is it snowing there? I think there's a conversation among some off-islanders on Facebook Live about snow. Richard Leon says...
It's snowing here.
It's snowing here. John Titano saying, Manana Sidzuos. Who else is playing around online? Rick Leon. Stephen Klein. Ow! It must be talking about that picture I've got in there. Joette Cruz saying she's half stoned. That's it. I don't know if it's painful. And from some of the comments that I'm reading on the rest of the viral photos article about it, there's not much to be done about it. You just it's maybe some antibiotics that you can put in your eye or something like that. But otherwise, you just let it heal.
Yeah, and they have some actually pretty nice drops now that they'll use in LASIK surgery. That they'll put some antibiotic in there, and then sometimes they'll put some drops in there if it's a severe cut, and that'll help prevent bleeding and prevent any more outside infections.
Yeah. I remember getting the LASIK, and that was an interesting process. You keep the thing in your eye just wet kind of all the time. But I don't remember getting any instructions other than keep your eye protection on.
Yeah,
as long as possible.
Yeah, I only had to do that for the overnight. After that, I was good. Because the great thing about that is the eye heals rather
rapidly. Yeah. Anne-Marie Sablon, Trousseau, Joey Franquez online. Stephen Klein, Candy Knudsen Guzman is hanging out. Shane Quintanilla is saying, good morning, Guahan. Good morning, Ray. Great to have you along the line here, Gary. Sean Alls is there. I see Michael Knight for some reason. Shauna Bentley and Free of Braces. That's so cool. Ike Iseki's online. Who else is there? Rose Greeno, just like saying her name that way. Big Sister Shelley's on. Pat and Norma Jean Flores, Josephine Bloss, Alpha Major Joe, good to have you there. Another Joe and Goko is hanging out with the Facebook Live crowd this morning. Gus Castro Gisangas and just dropping in from San Antonio, Texas to say my hello to the team and everybody on Guam. Right on, good to have you there. I recommend watching CNN, Montesilva. It helps me sleep and laugh sometimes. That's a quote from Jess out there. Who else is Asa J. Rivera, Lynn Vince, Borja Polino. What? Gus Castro just saying, do I want to read this? Ray, I tried Viagra for the first time. Never again. I almost died. It got stuck in my throat, and I had to go to the hospital after 4 hours due to a severe stiff neck. Really? What time is it where you are, Gus? Have you already had a couple? Is recreational marijuana allowed where you are? Gina Nauta is there saying good morning. Ray, nice to see Jay. We're at Franco Julian online. You doomed them by calling them common sense pieces of legislation. I see it. Joy and Pinko, Maria Fergerger. But Marge Titano, or whenever she chooses to use Titano, wants to introduce a bill for honoring people who have stood up for culture, Guam or whatever she wants to put on this irrelevant bill, SMH. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit yesterday. That's why, folks, your votes matter. I don't know if you've paying any attention around here, but your votes matter, and it's important that you get together with people just like you and make sure, drive each other to the polling places if you need to, because it's about time, I think, that the voters of Guam are going to want to take things over at the legislature and, frankly, wherever else they can get a vote in this upcoming election. It's 6:32 already. We got plenty more to talk about. We'll take a look at the table of contents and some of the other big stories. But speaking of big stories, let's get a handful of them now. Headlines and news from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Montesilva Tyron.
The two tourists plucked from a lake at a Dedido golf course have been identified by police, but family members are still being reached. The two are Japanese tourists who checked in at the golf club earlier in the day. Police are waiting for the results of an autopsy to determine the cause of death. Well, it appears, though, that the lack of a forensic pathologist is creating a backlog of cases, and GPD and the Attorney General can't close cases without the results of those autopsies. It's been an almost a year since the retirement of the last forensic pathologist. The AG is looking at the possibility of increasing the salary to make the job more attractive. And a public hearing today on 6 bills that deal with public safety. The hearing by Senator Therese Chalahi. The bills address the maximum and minimum sentencing guidelines for people convicted on charges that range from robbery, criminal sexual conduct, and crimes against tourists. And a bill that would also deal with the pretrial release of people arrested on similar charges. The bills call for arrestees to be required to wear an electronic monitoring device. That hearing is scheduled to start at 1 p.m. at the legislature. And those are some of your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, pick up a copy of the paper or log on to their website at postguam.com.
All right, you going to try this extra, Joss?
Yes, I'm going to try doing I'm going to go and get it with some hot water.
The regular water.
Regular?
Yeah, just regular tap water, just flat water, and maybe, like I said, a coffee cup full.
They make this in negative font, so nobody can actually read the ingredients.
There's ingredients in there, but you need to. It's one of those where, and I'll show you the back of it. You're not going to be able to make anything out.
Yeah.
What you do here is you use your smartphone, you take a picture of it, and then magnify it. That's how even with reading glasses, I have a hard time getting through the ingredients in this. Anyway, 6:34, and that's our iConnect time. Run by the nearest iConnect and ask them about saving money in 2020. Push to talk mobile, even internet plans.
If you've ever struggled for breath, you know what a scary experience it is. Whether you have asthma, emphysema, COPD, lung cancer, or another respiratory illness, the right medical treatment makes all the difference. GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic has the latest technology and respiratory equipment, staffed by world-class pulmonologists. Make an appointment today with GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic and start breathing easier. GRMC, where patients are partners.
They're going to be in a little bit later on. We're going to be talking to orthopedic surgeons in the program about 9 o'clock this morning. Ray Gibson Show brought to you by Denny's. Try some of their top 5 local favorites. Tapa and Eggs, Island Slam, Island Plate, Buffalo Wings Dinner, and Sirloin Tips Dinner waiting for you tonight at Denny's.
From the start of the NFL football season, Point listeners have gotten together in friendly competition to battle it out in the Points NFL Pick'em Contest. Along with weekly winners picking up great prizes, we have also awarded our grand prize winner, Art Hameister. Art correctly guessed 170 picks. Wow. Good enough for him to win a new iPhone from GTA. Congratulations, Art. Thanks to all who participated in the Points NFL Pick'em Contest. Brought to you by Current Guam with special thanks to GTA.
All right, Tim, to take a look at the weather gizmo. No, the traffic gizmo. This is a traffic gizmo I got online this morning. Nothing major coming out of Jigo into the Dededo portions, including Route 27 Alpha and then 3 and 1. Things are looking actually pretty clear all the way into Upper Tumon and the Kmart area. A little bit of traffic out on the back road. Looks like southbound traffic is a little bit tricky on the background road around the Poggett area. 8, 10, and 16 running fairly clear right now. 10 and 15 looking good. On to Route 4 into the downtown Agutnia area. No major problems. It's early enough. In fact, about the only thing that you might see is a little bit of traffic over by Adelup, believe it or not. A little bit of northbound traffic moving slower than normal at that intersection. Let's see, over down to Sumai, Big Navy. Now, it's nice. If you want to drive and get to wherever it is that you're headed a little bit early, you might want to hit the road now. Everybody back in school today? Yep, that's right. Everything is right with the world. It's 6:36. That's right now traffic here on The Point.
Everyone has a busy schedule these days, and sometimes we forget to schedule our routine dental checkup and cleaning. Don't neglect your dental health. Schedule one today with Dr. Robert Yang and his Smile Team, conveniently located at the East West Business Center on Marine Drive, Upper Tumon. Call us today at 647-8702 or 3. Again, that's 647-8702 or 647-8703. We make smiles happen.
Getting you back to the talk faster. It's the Ray Gibson Show.
Randy Kruger online saying half my adult life has been living on Guam, and it amazes me how corrupt it still is. Every once in a while, there seems to be a glimmer of hope, and then things like what was reported with GovGuam employees comes around, and all that glimmer of hope just vanishes, poof, into thin air. Rudy Magallanes online says Bitcoin is up again. Mike, do me a favor, take a look at that and see if we can get a number on Bitcoin today. What we were raving about it the other day, up around 8,000 or something like that. Has it climbed higher? Cousin Tommy Barcinas is online. I was asking Gus Jasangas, the stiff-necked joke dude, what time it was there, and he says it's 2:30 in the afternoon, 80 degrees. Just wanted to throw in some laughter into the program. No problem. Always happy to put a smile on everybody's faces. Tanya Emmett Affligwe Conception is online, and Big Sister Shelley talking about the legislature, and they are posers and punks trying to look busy and so tech savvy, just proving they got no clue and need to be spoon-fed. Ismael, maybe no off-island medical examiners want to work full-time under this administration. I was talking about that with somebody else. It's just terrible, the idea that we don't have an ME, a pathologist, working on Guam these days. I mean, with just so many people that die on a regular basis, and then we've got all of these questionable deaths, drownings, and suicides, and bodies being pulled out of water hazards over at the Guam International Country Club. It'd be nice if we had somebody around that could help with identifying the process that these guys went through when they died. And if it's a question of throwing a whole lot of money at somebody, then you know what? You got to throw a whole lot of money at somebody. I mean, this is not a glamour job here. Never mind Quincy M.E. from the 70s and 80s, the old television program with Klugman. Back in those days, the idea here is that this is a terrible job. Somebody has got to do it, though.
And it sounds like the pool isn't too big. So
no. Yeah, Carlina
really have to make the salary attractive because.
Yeah. So we're going to have to bite the bullet like every other place in the world that needs that kind of specialty. I mean, and it's going to be, and nobody will be able to do anything. Or you can complain about it all you want to, but whoever we get, whatever guy, whatever girl that we're going to get is going to be the highest paid bloke on Guam, highest paid member in the government.
It sounds like they want to pull the funds together with the CNMI, and maybe get an opportunity to put more money toward that.
So it would be somebody that would split time between here and
that's
and
what
CNMI?
It sounds like, at least what I was reading.
Trying to figure out how I feel about that. I think on an immediate basis that might work, maybe for a year, something like that. But I would be in favor of us having our own guy. That's just me. Bill Pettit's online. Dennis Bensour says, "Sad I missed the made-up job segment last week. We did have a thing last week because there's so many people running around with these fake titles. I.e., delegate nominee is one of the fake titles we've got out there. I don't know if you've noticed, but they're beginning to use more whenever Lou Lee leaves Guam, Josh becomes the acting governor, and the Speaker of the legislature becomes the acting lieutenant governor. We've known this for 100 years, but nobody's ever actually said it out loud because it sounds dumb, right? Acting lieutenant governor. No, you're still the Speaker of the legislature, and I don't know about this acting lieutenant governor thing, but yeah, we like to play around with all kinds of titles around here. Makes us all look all puffery, right?
Yeah, that doesn't even sound right to me, because that involves two of the branches of government somehow being one, and that shouldn't even be.
Yeah, exactly. Eunice Mendiola's there. Xavier Atherley. Good morning, Dave Torrey. Got to see a picture of you running around in the Guam Daily Post today from the triathlon, the super sprint the other day. That's nice. John Santos is there. Charita Renee Titano Will Height saying buenos from Arizona, the great state of Arizona. Nice there. And greetings from Guam, says Candy. And Melissa Salas Akimoto is online. Fake titles, yes, Charita. That was an actual program. There's a theme for a program that we did. Today's theme is Fluffy Biscuits, and for no other reason because wanted to pay homage and tribute to our friends over at KFC, big sponsors of the program, and that's one of the things that they tout every morning is going out there and enjoying breakfast with their Fluffy Biscuits.
Fluffy biscuits.
Fluffy air biscuits, completely different thing. All right, so on to the table of contents. As I said, the big outrage this morning is you got a front page of the Guam Daily Post. No jail time for this guy, no jail time for that guy. The community is frustrated. We've about had it with the idea that there are people out there that are breaking the law and will admit it because that's part of their deal. That's part of their deal. Yes. Did you do this? I did. I broke the law. I raped that woman. I kidnapped that kid. I'm selling drugs. All of these things. And they make the deal and with the guilty plea and plea things down. And so we're playing them down and we'll take care of the serious stuff. And when it comes to jail time, all of a sudden, because they're third and fourth degree, this and that, the judges got a little bit more latitude in terms of sentencing. And the judge will say, okay, thank you very much for pleading guilty and clearing a spot in the docket. And you get out of here. We're going to put you, it's a 5-year sentence, but we're going to suspend all the 5 years and charge you with just the time that you've got served. And you're going to be on supervised release or whatever, on the probation, and go forth and sin no more. And they will leave the offices, the proud halls of the judiciary, and go out and begin to sin almost immediately, almost at the first opportunity. And so we're seeing a whole lot of recidivism in the process here. And as I said, I think people are just sick up and fed. Today at the legislature, you have got an opportunity. By some miracle, Jim Moylan has got a public hearing for a number of his bills. We've talked about this over the last couple of days, and if you've heard me say this a dozen times, and I'm not going to apologize, but I'm going to do it again. I'm going to tell you what these bills are, because you need to go out there and testify. There's going to be 96-35 relative to the minimum sentences for criminal sexual conduct. We've got some people around here can't keep their hands to themselves. And find themselves on the other side of the law. And there was a guy the other day. I'm surprised that we didn't do pitchforks and fires after this guy was accused of rape. Went to the judge, and the judge basically let him out and said, okay, don't harass people anymore and stay away from these guys. That was the extent of it, and I'm sorry. I think there needs to be a little bit more of that, a little bit more paying attention to what these guys are up to.
Don't sexually harass anyone.
Right?
Isn't that disgusting?
That's going to prevent this guy from doing it again. There's another one, 97-35, minimum and maximum sentences for robberies. We've got relative to penalties associated with crimes against tourists. I won't play the video again of that jughead Kunga or whatever his name was, that at 12:30 or something like that, 12:45. Dropped a couple of tourists and stole their purse. Thankfully, we've got sharp police department around here. They were able to arrest these guys within the same hour. They were able to effect an arrest within an hour. And I'd like to see the book thrown at these guys, particularly because it's a crime. Number one, a crime against women, and number two, a crime against tourists. There's going to be another one here talking about sexual conduct involving victims under 12. Public hearing on and this is going to be a big deal because now apparently we've got a case of visible arson. This is another one of those front page stories here. We were talking about this yesterday, a fire down in the Tamuning area, and the owner of the facility says that was arson. It was the same people that were breaking in, and it's possible they broke into the guy's warehouse. I guess he was using that building as a warehouse. Possible that they broke into it and started the fire to cover their tracks. So let's keep an eye out for those guys. And then there's another one on criminal mischief, pretrial releases for people with criminal sexual conduct, robbery, kidnapping, distribution, or possession of controlled substances. It's going to be a busy afternoon, and you need to get out there and look those senators in the eye and say, listen, I don't know what beautiful little castles that you guys are living in, but the rest of us here on Guam are trying to get things, trying to keep things going between us and some serious criminals out there, just trying to push back that tide as best as we possibly can. Lady D is online. Good morning, everybody. I wonder if the judges will turn them loose to commit worse crimes against the community. Mingo Ria's there, Florencia Vizagomez, Derwin Flores, and Mark Cruz are online here this morning. 888-8255-888-TALK. That, I think, is where the outrage ought to begin here this morning, is the fact that there's front pages of newspapers and people that ain't going to be spending any time in a lockup here because they got the right lawyers and they got the right judge. 646. Is this the other Governor Leon Guerrero? Ken LG, good morning, buddy.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my theme song,
Let me give Sokola wag of the finger to Michael Knight, because he hasn't gotten your theme song for when the other Governor Leon Guerrero calls in.
Well, the reason why I called in, it's very, very important for people just to send an email in on these bills, because I've been trying to get people to testify. Especially, on 259 this morning. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, I'd have to take leave, and I'm saving my leave in case I get sick or something like that. So, we come back to that problem again. This is the people's house, and if we the people don't make our opinions known, then the senators are going to take the lead from those that show up, and 90% of them are going to be people from the probation and the courts are going to say, "Hey, don't tell us what to do."
Yep,
we know.
I can almost see that coming. I can almost smell that coming. Do me a favor. I'm going to put you on hold for a second because I wanted to get this phone call on the air. It's actually one of the target guys that we're looking for. Can you hold on?
Sure.
All right, good man. Stay right there. It's I wanted to get my friend Phil Flores from Bank Pacific on the line. Number one, because he's one of my favorite sponsors of the program, and I wanted to know if you had any information. I saw this story, Bankers Association on Guam helping out the Guam Contractors Association with a $10,000 check. You got any business behind that, Phil?
Yeah. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Ed Nutlon's the president of the Bankers Association right now.
Good.
But we're going to present a $10,000 check from the Bankers Association membership to the GCA today at their lunch, and for them to be able to use as they fund their efforts to allow H-2B workers back in Guam outside the gate. There's we have people inside the gate, and we have some outside the gate working on military-related projects, but a lot of construction, as you know, could go on if we had more H-2B workers outside the gate.
Oh yeah,
so
that's a lot of pent-up demand, and we just don't have the manpower around here to take care of all of it, and the cost of the manpower that we do have, it's a supply and demand equation, and the cost of the manpower now is going up.
It's gone up tremendously over the last 3 or 4 years, and so the bankers are just trying to do help where they can, and that's to give GCA some money so they can keep paying their legal fees.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that you guys are stepping in, and obviously there is an upside if the Guam Contractors Association is successful in this lawsuit and in their appeals back against the federal government. Then there's going to be some construction loans going out, and that's good for business.
That's good for everybody.
Yeah. Well, no, you're absolutely. My recollection, we were talking about this the other day about how much fun everybody was having in the late 80s and early 90s because there was a big construction boom on Guam, and that drove this economy into some of the best times that we've ever seen.
Yes, but remember, it also drove the economy in some of the worst times you've ever seen because it was the big, red hot economy that all of a sudden burst the Japanese economy bubble, and then we were upside down. We want to avoid that.
Yeah, we absolutely.
We'd rather would have just a steady climb upwards, and so that we don't have that overheated economy like most recently they had in the States in the early 2000s.
6:50 in the morning.
I think we're doing that.
But I got my fingers crossed that we can maintain a steady state pace. But and I'm looking around. There's a lot of companies that are advertising for employees these days. So I mean, folks, if you're looking for a job, there's a lot of companies that they're lining up all kinds of openings for you. So take a look and see what they're doing. Phil Flores from Bank Pacific on the line here this morning, and I haven't had a chance to see you or talk to you about your thoughts on 2020. What do you got your eye on near term? What is it that is interesting to you around here?
I would say a couple of things. I spent last week in Hong Kong with a group of business people from the region and a couple of Korean individuals, and these were all CEOs or chairmen of their respective companies, talked about how much Koreans want to come in and invest in Guam, and because it's the closest part of America to Korea, and they're still close to Korea for medical issues. They believe we have one of the best medical industries in the world in Korea. And then by chance, when I'm having lunch yesterday with one of the bankers, one of the line bankers, he's talking about, there's this group that's coming in saying we want to invest $75 to $80 million in Guam. So there are going to be people coming in, and they're coming in not just to buy land. I don't think the land banking. I think they want to develop, and perhaps if there are a lot of Koreans wanting to come in, it's like we talked about 20 years ago with Japanese wanting to come in, the silver-haired generation, and set up shop in Guam, but they wanted to have medical facilities here. Apparently the Koreans are satisfied just being 4 hours away from medical facilities in Seoul and where else in Korea. So I kind of like the way the economy's growing. We just, we judge different ways. Judge deposits at the bank, loan demand at the bank. We judge pillowcases and napkins for the laundries and the arrivals at the laundry. We judge the volume of trash that goes through Guam Waste to see how much is being generated. And it's kind of funny. A couple months ago, when a couple of ships came in, and the people were saying, "Well, where's the trash coming?" Well, the trash, our company was picking it up and processing it. And so now there's an objection about trash. We got to worry about trash coming in from the ships. Well, that's kind of ridiculous, because the tourists bring trash, whether they come by an airplane and stay at a hotel or on a ship and get off the ship. I mean, people generate waste. It's just a matter of you have to figure out how to take care of it. And Guam has, despite what some people will say, Guam has plenty of capacity to take care of its solid waste. And we're recycling. Guam recycles a lot of what they didn't used to do, even though the recycling industry worldwide is totally upside down.
Oh, I'm sure of it. Hey, do me a favor. Look into this. As we talk about solid waste and recycling, I'm really interested in the idea. And I know a lot of people. I got 2 or 3 people that drink a whole lot of wine, and they end up with a whole bunch of bottles, and those get thrown away. And unfortunately, we don't have one of these. We still don't have a bottle deposit kind of industry around here, despite our attempts and law. But I'd like to know if there's anybody interested, because I know the prices have come down on these things, on these glass pulverizers that you might be able to take and put in every Payless on Guam, and have people bring their old wine bottles and mayonnaise jars and vinegar jars out to some place and just put them into the machine and break it down and turn it into something you can use as a medium for sandblasting, maybe something that the DPW can put in their aggregate for the roadways, or in the very least to pulverize it back into sand and take it to Epal Beach.
Well, I think the only thing that economically would work, because you have to have huge volumes, is to be able to use it as cover at the landfill. Yeah. I'm not sure if EPA would allow us to do that. But what used to work so well, like with glass, like doing things with plastic, doing things with cardboard, it doesn't work well at all right now, because there's been so much produced. And if you follow the news, like just Google China cardboard, and a year and a half ago, maybe we'd get $150, $180 a ton for cardboard. Now we're getting like $15, $20 a ton for cardboard.
Yeah.
And if you want to try to make money on plastic, you have to have literally a boatload of plastic.
And we just, as small as Guam is, we just don't have the scale for it. Well, I know it's something to talk about. Like I said, I know that the prices on these pulverizers are coming down, and they're almost like wood chippers that you can get at Home Depot. They're portable, and they plug into regular electricity, and it might be something where we're not going to be making a whole, but like an industrial-sized version of it, but it might help us preserve some of the space that we've got in the landfills. Just thinking out loud, buddy.
That's what I think.
All right. Well, it's always fun talking with you, and I appreciate the view and the good news that there's the Korean investors have continued to have their eye on Guam, and somebody's actually throwing around a number of about $75 million that they'd like to invest here. I might have a couple more ideas. I might know a couple of guys. I'll talk to you later, buddy. See,
all right, take care of yourself.
I will. One of these days, I'll meander into the Rotary Club and see what you guys have been talking about these days.
It's about time.
All right, fine, I will, because I might need to go in there and make a speech about running for senator. What do you say?
Viva Ray!
That's why I love him. Phil Flores from Bank Pacific this morning, 6:57 and change. You know what? I'm going to bring it back in for a couple of seconds, but you're welcome to call back a little bit later on, because I know you've got more to say, Ken.
Well, I just, in the time remaining, I just want to encourage everybody just to send an email. An email is almost as good as attending in public. I mean, in person. So if you support any of these bills, just send an email to the person holding, and I can think it's Therese Terlahi's committee.
Yes.
Just send an email to Therese Terlahi and say, I support the following bills, X, 90, 100, whatever. I support passage of the following bills, done. And that will help show that there is public support for these changes. But in the absence of, Therese is going to see, okay, this is an interesting bill, but we got probation testifying against it. We got the court complaining that we're taking away their discretion. We got all these people testifying against it, and the only person that testified for it was
Ken Leon Guerrero and Bob Klitsky, the usual bunch of rabble-rousers.
Yeah,
so everybody has everybody's got to get involved and figure out who these guys are, what their phone numbers are, send them the WhatsApp and let them know what's going on. We'll talk.
We get the kind of government we work for, and fortunately, sending an email is not hard work.
No. Give it a shot. We'll see if we can get some emails on the line here for you on the Facebook Live, 658 and change. That's the other governor, Ken Leon Guerrero, and noting here on Facebook Live that my very close personal friend and personal artist, she will take on that title for you. It's not a made-up title because you can actually go to Michelle Peer and ask her to do work for you.
She's already working on your campaign signs,
She's working on the campaign side. So Michelle, I know you're watching the program here this morning. Put your gaze here on the Facebook Live. Take a look at this. Now, this is an image of the volcano at Taal. This is a couple of days old already, and I think the imagery has gotten a little bit uglier depending on your perspective. Because I thought this was gorgeous, and I looked at it, and the first time I saw it, I said, Michelle Peer needs to make a piece of art that looks kind of like this, because it does kind of look a little bit like some of the things that you do. Different colors that you work with, but I can imagine.
And I can already see she's going to put the texture in it, and you're going to...
and maybe some metallics
really nice.
or something like that. I'm just saying, if you're looking for some inspiration, as much of a disaster as that eruption has been for the people in the Philippines, travelers in and out of Guam, there are still some really, really stunning and beautiful images that have come out of that. 7 o'clock in the morning. Stunning and beautiful. Yeah, Montesilva Tavern's got headlines for you on the other side of Fox News Live, and it's going to be faster. She's going to be talking like me here because she's down some extra jaws. Jerry Robertson, the Extra Point, coming up right here on 93.3 KUSG. I got you. This is The Point.
Possible trial dates for President Trump. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. The schedule for an impeachment trial beginning to take shape as the House prepares to pass it on. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on Capitol Hill.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says the House will pass a resolution sending articles of impeachment to the Senate tomorrow. That Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says likely means a trial beginning Tuesday.
Senators can't say anything, so they'll have to sit there and listen. To listen carefully to the arguments by both the prosecution and the defense, to follow that up with written questions.
Only at that point, McConnell says, would senators consider additional testimony or documents. Democrats have pressed to hear from 4 current and former administration officials. McConnell says he can't imagine only witnesses requested by Democrats would be called. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
To decide whether the president merits acquittal or removal from office, the Senate must conduct a fair trial.
Suggesting it won't be fair without witnesses and documents. Impeachment and Iran, 2 likely topics for 6 Democratic presidential hopefuls debating tonight in Des Moines while President Trump rallies in Milwaukee. The head of the House Foreign Affairs Committee is threatening to subpoena the Secretary of State and U.S. Defense Chief to get the legal justification for the killing of Iran's top general.
I wanted Secretary Pompeo here today because I think the administration is not being straight with the country or the Congress.
Democratic Congressman Eliot Engel after Secretary Pompeo skipped a congressional hearing today on Iran policy. Pompeo is in California meeting with the foreign ministers of Japan and South Korea. A mixed finish on Wall Street. The Dow up 32 points at the closing bell, back under 29K after a triple-digit rally fizzled today. The Nasdaq finishing higher, the S&P lower. America is listening to Fox News.
Yikes, are those Christmas bills coming in already? Those high-interest credit cards at 16, 18, even 24%? Well, we have a New Year's solution for you. A Bank Pacific personal loan with rates as low as 4.65% to pay off those expensive credit cards. It's easy, it's fast, and it's as low as 4.65% APR.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we plays rules.
Equal credit opportunity lender as low as 4.65%. Conditions apply.
Hi, welcome to this ad for new Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. How do you want it?
Cheer squad. Woo! Go Subway sliders starting at $1.99 each. Woo! Give me a ham and jack slider.
Ham and jack slider.
Give me an Italian spice slider.
Italian spice slider.
What's that spell?
It doesn't really spell anything.
New Subway sliders starting at $1.99 each. Go sliders!
Subway, make it what you want.
Federal help may be on the way to California to deal with homelessness, but there may be strings attached.
Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson told Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti that they are ready to help the city with possibly finding federal land for shelters and health care services. But the LA Times reports that the HUD secretary also wrote in his letter to the mayor that they expect LA to make some changes to how it addresses homelessness, like in how police are used in relation to homeless encampments, and changes in housing regulations to speed up construction of affordable housing. Secretary Carson has also been in talks with LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger, whose spokesperson says they have talked, but not about specifics. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
An Ohio teenager missing for more than 3 weeks is found dead in the chimney of a vacant home near his own house. An autopsy scheduled, but police say no signs of foul play. The teen's family told police he may have been upset about having electronics taken away from him. He was last seen heading to school December 20th, but never got there. One of the nation's most gun-friendly states could soon try to end what gun control activists call a gun show loophole, allowing sales without background checks on buyers.
It's because many states don't require a check during private sales, and gun show vending technically isn't retailing. But a bill advancing in the Florida Legislative Committee has the NRA crying foul. Should it ever become law, it would require background checks for any gun sale conducted on property the public can access, like civic centers, where gun shows are often held. It would also require anyone privately selling a gun to keep a notarized record of the sale for future needs. The NRA calls it gun control on steroids. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Recapping Wall Street, the Dow does finish higher, up 32 points. Both the NASDAQ and the S&P, though, finishing in the red. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
What's for breakfast at KFC under $3.95, you ask? What's for breakfast at KFC that's different than the other guys, you ask? KFC's chicken wrap, sausage wrap, the Colonel's chicken congee, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuit and gravy, and biscuit sandwiches made with KFC's original fluffy biscuits. All for under $3.95 and all only at KFC. Plus, with waffles and the Colonel's chicken fried rice, we've got something for everyone.
So visit KFC for breakfast today. It's finger-licking good.
If you've ever struggled for breath, you know what a scary experience it is. Whether you have asthma, emphysema, COPD, lung cancer, or another respiratory illness, the right medical treatment makes all the difference. GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic has the latest technology and respiratory equipment, staffed by world-class pulmonologists. Make an appointment today with GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic and start breathing easier. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
7 o'clock news brought to you by Horizon Properties.
Half a day and good morning. It's 7:06. I'm Ana Silva Tyron with some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The February trial for 3 people facing federal drug charges has been delayed for about 4 months to allow defense attorneys time to go through the thousands of pages of discovery in the case. Defendants Lovelia Mendoza, Joseph Roman, and Mark Mayo all appeared in the district court yesterday. They pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to distribute meth, attempted possession of methamphetamine with the intent to distribute, and notice of forfeiture. The judge granted the request to extend the deadline and now has the trial date set for June. According to the indictment, the 3 allegedly participated in a scheme to distribute 50 or more grams of methamphetamine between April and May of 2018. Mendoza, who's currently serving time for a separate drug possession case, is also former girlfriend to Jotnya Mayor Jesse Mendiola Blas. Blas is behind bars awaiting a federal jury trial on extortion and bribery charges in connection with alleged illegal drug activity taking place in his village. A man who pleaded guilty to producing counterfeit money back in 2013 and rearrested in December of last year for allegedly violating release conditions found himself without a lawyer yesterday morning just as he was entering a hearing in the district court. Michael Badar was to appear for a hearing on the revocation of his release, but his attorney, Jeffrey Moots, immediately asked to withdraw from the case. Moots said his client had made accusations against him, including working with the government, and the relationship has deteriorated to the point of no longer being able to work together. Magistrate Judge Joaquin Manabusan appeared frustrated with Badar over the loss of yet another court-appointed attorney. Prior to Moots, Assistant Federal Public Defender Leilani Lujan was appointed to represent Badar, but also chose to withdraw. Manabusan told Badar that he has a right to an attorney, but he doesn't have the right to fire those attorneys unless he's hired them himself. This is also as Badar's fourth revocation proceeding before the court. He was initially sentenced back in 2014 to 14 months in prison with credit for time already served. He previously was revoked. His release was revoked related to his testing positive for drugs, failing to show up to drug tests, and for assault and family violence. The hearing was continued for another 2 weeks to allow time for the new court-appointed attorney, Joaquin Arreola, time to review the case. Public hearings on two bills that would dip into $22 million of anticipated surplus from fiscal year 2019 were heard in a hearing yesterday at the legislature. Bill 230 would appropriate $1 million to the Guam Housing Corporation, and Bill 235 appropriates $1 million from the general fund to the Guam Office of the Attorney General. The president of the Housing Corporation, Alice Tyron, testified in support of Bill 230. She said that the funds would assist them in continuing services such as providing loans to qualified people who've been unable to secure conventional financing. As for the bill that funds the AG, General Counsel Stephanie Mendiola testified in support of the bill, saying the funds, if received, would be used to enhance the child support division and upgrade the automated system for management of its cases. At the legislature this afternoon, a hearing will be held on 6 bills that deal with public safety. That hearing by Senator Therese Terlahi. Of the bills on the agenda, 5 of them seek to address minimum and maximum sentencing guidelines for people convicted on charges that range from robbery, criminal sexual conduct, and crimes against tourists, and a bill that would deal with a pretrial release of people arrested on similar charges. The bills call for arrestees to be required to wear an electronic monitoring device while released. That hearing scheduled to start at 1 p.m. at the legislature. More news after this.
Rent, lease. What does Horizon do for you? Here's a clue. Advertising, marketing, screening, inspecting, instructing, leasing and signing, collecting and complying, inquiring and assessing, coordinating, repairing, renewing, enforcing, evicting, moving, cleaning, rekeying, communicating. Do it yourself and you'll find it taxing. We work hard to keep the vacancies low, so at the end of the month, you collect the dough. Proven and trusted. Horizon Properties. We do it all. 777-7792.
Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon is stirring up some of your favorite drinks all night long. Come down on Wednesday and Friday nights from 5:30 to 10 p.m. Indulge in some of your favorite local cuisine and pair it with your favorite drink. From our ice-cold beers, our finest selection of wines and liquors, to our top-notch cocktail specials, your friends at Mezcla Bistro Tumon are ready to serve you. Why limit happy to only an hour? The Mezcla family reminds everyone to drink responsibly. See you on Wednesday and Friday night.
The decision drew sudden cheers and applause from Linda Uggins supporters who had been waiting anxiously within the hearing room at the Civil Service Commission yesterday. CSC Chairman Juan Calvo issued the statement, quote, "Management failed, and the decision is the employee prevailed in this case. Although Uggin won the case, it's unclear at this juncture whether she'll get her job back right away. Typically, the standard set of remedies for employees who prevail in the CSC cases includes reinstatement, back pay, and reasonable attorney's fees. Attorney John Bell, who's Uggins' attorney, said that his client was unfairly terminated for what amounted to, at worst, minor instances of insubordination, and that management had failed to establish its burden. And the power utility's latest initiative to procure another utility-scale renewable energy power plant appears to have been stalled as the Office of Public Accountability oversees a protest appeal filed by one of the interested companies. The procurement is the third phase in a series of renewable energy projects by the Guam Power Authority and would include battery storage technology that could help power the system at night. Phase 3 would use the U.S. Navy properties at Naval Base Guam and South Finnegodson. Clyde Path Mariana's operation filed an appeal at the OPA in November after its bid protest to GPA was denied in October. The company now operates the Dundun Solar Power Plant, formerly operated by NRG Renewable. NG Solar was the company awarded the project. In its appeal, GlidePath argued that GPA is ignoring that NG's proposals didn't comply with the bid request's technical requirements and that acceptance of the bid prejudices the people of Guam by allowing what is effectively a sole source procurement for a project worth nearly $200 million over a 20-year lifetime. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
Okay, mostly cloudy skies, partly cloudy by late morning. Expect some isolated light showers today. Winds in the northeast about 20 miles an hour, up to 20 miles an hour today. Highs near 87 degrees, and overnight lows should be about 76 degrees. Sunset tonight, 6:12. Tell the others, get your cameras out because we have had stunning, absolutely stunning sunrises in the last 3 or 4 days, and I predict what with all of the particulate matter that's in the atmosphere right now, I think that trend is going to continue right through Valentine's Day, which, by the way, 29 days away. Fellas, guys, don't make the mistakes. Make your reservations instead. Find her favorite place and start making a phone call because it's 29 days away from Valentine's. You don't want to screw that up. Where was I? Sunrise this morning at about 6:47. We expect the same thing a little bit later. High risk of rip currents this evening through Friday along east-facing reefs as well, and men of war that are out there. So be very, very careful while you're out lounging around. I believe that we've got the weather radar back. They've kicked the SQL server over at the National Weather Service, and we can finally get the images of what looks like a little bit of cloud activity coming in from the northeast.
Yeah, the little trade wind disturbances that just typically blow on through. You get these little waves of energy that cruise on through the atmosphere. Here we are at the transition of the diurnal cycle that you've heard me talk about before. These showers should dry out for the most part over the next couple of hours, but there is a slight chance you could see some rain on your drive to work this morning, so just got to plan on driving a little more carefully. Check it satellite real quick here, and I didn't get to talk about this much last hour, but I do want to point some things out because we got a lot of interesting things going on here. We see Guam there. We've got some moisture coming up from the south. Now, this is not expected to actually start giving us any real impacts until about this weekend. But if you look up to the northwest of us, you have a couple of concentric arcs of clouds or lines of clouds that are extending from the upper right to the bottom left or northeast to southwest. These actually are a couple of cold fronts. Now, the one behind it is a cold front. This is just a shear line, the one that's closest to us. It will probably get taken up by the cold front which is coming through, and I can tell that's a cold front because I went on and I checked the winds, and the winds do a significant shift. Actually, out ahead of this particular line back there, you get southwesterly winds, which is typical of a frontal passage, and then the front passes and boom, the winds shift immediately to the northeast. I went through a lot of that over on the continent. So if that front makes it through, we'll see some of that. We're not really sure, and I'm not seeing much language about that on the Weather Service forecast discussion. They may be just kind of keeping things a little bit conservative before they talk about that. Normally, we don't get cold fronts down here, but once in a while, it will happen. So we'll see how that goes. Overall, we got just those mottled clouds coming in on the trade wind surge that kind of moved through yesterday, and we'll see how this weather situation shapes up. But it looks like we're just going to keep getting more of those great trade winds.
Well, I was waiting for you to say that we're going to have some snow conditions. I thought you were going to tell me how much cooler it's going to get here soon.
Yeah, I don't. Again, they're not talking about it. Again, they're being conservative. They're not talking about it at all. If it comes through, I mean, it won't be very cool because the longer it stays out there, the more the air moderates because of the, for one, the greater angle of the sun, and plus it's just it warms up as it gets on through there. More exposure to the sunlight in mixing in with the warmer air that we have here. So yeah, we'll see.
All right, because I got some nice jackets I want to wear. I actually found a nice jacket at Kmart, so I picked it up, and I'm looking for an opportunity to wear. It's like a jeans jacket or something like that, but it's not Levi's.
You work at this radio station.
I know. 7:17, maybe tomorrow, 7:17. That's news and plenty of weather together here on The Point.
It's hard to believe, but Security Title is 20 years old. Reaching this milestone is a clear testament to the hard work of our employees, who are as passionate about our work as we are about our community. We are most grateful for the real realtors, lenders, attorneys, investors, and the buyers and sellers we serve. They are the reason our doors have been open for 20 years. Security Title looks back with gratitude for the past 20 years and looks forward with optimism to the next 20. Thank you, Guam.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by APL, American President Lines, global presence with a local home. The guys over at GRMC, first choice for your specialty care needs. A little bit later on, we'll be talking about orthopedic surgery and work that they are doing over at GMC. And if we're lucky, we'll meet a guy who's actually named Handy Manny. This will be fun. Be listening in the 9 o'clock hour. Also brought to you by Denny's with some great new local items in the menu. Eggplant with ground beef, tofu omelet, nacho cheese fries, pepper steak stir fry, Korean ground beef bowl, and beef short ribs. Make your meal a little specialer with new items like shrimp egg foo young, salted egg salad, or grilled eggplant. A lot going on in that Denny's menu. Find out more today.
Cocoa Coffee Company is now available at Circle K. Single origin coffee beans carefully sourced and locally roasted to give you the freshest cup of coffee Guam has to offer. Grab a cup that's brewed every 30 minutes or purchase a bag of the locally roasted whole beans. Flavors now serving: light medium roasted Ethiopia and medium dark roasted Jamaican Blue Mountain. Exclusively available at Circle K. With every Cocoa Coffee Company purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Cocoa Recovery Program.
It's the Ray Gibson Show, also brought to you by Nanbo Insurance. Insure your hybrid car at Nanbo today. Get up to $350 towards your next power bill. There are some details that you need to find out, like what kind of hybrid cars are allowed and all of that stuff. They've got a telephone over at Nanbo, 477-9754. Call them, and they will be more than happy to get you some details on that. And I can do a detailed read here on what you might be able to find on the specials menu over at Mezcla. The 2-pound surf and turf burrito. How about San Diego-style fish tacos? God, this good. First time I ever had fish tacos was actually in San Diego. I'd never heard of the concept before. And me and some friends, Joy Cepeda, as a matter of fact, and Carlos Camacho, we went out there and hung out at this place in San Diego. Beer battered tender fish fillets. They stuff them in corn tortillas, topped with cilantro lime sour cream sauce, shredded cabbage, their salsa fresca, and they'll serve that up with their spicy roasted chili salsa. This is only $12.95. Grab it today in Agana and in Tumon at the Grand Plaza Hotel. Reservations are suggested 969-2652.
It's the Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
I'll get to some more details on this, but it is National Slavery and Human Trafficking and National Stalking Prevention and Awareness Month going on. There's a huge fair that's going to be taking place at the Micronesia Mall Center Court on Saturday, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And to kick off, I don't want to say the festivities, but the observation of national slavery, human trafficking, stalking prevention, and awareness, they're going to be having a wave this afternoon over on Marine Corps Drive, Chamorro Village side. Showtime is at 4:30. The wave will start at 5 and then go until 6 o'clock. Now, I put this out there for a couple of reasons. Obviously, you know, it is important that we make some noise about slavery, human trafficking, and stalking. And unfortunately, stalking is a big problem for a lot of women and some men here on Guam. So it's good that they're doing this. But it's important also to let you know that it's going to be a wave, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Chamorro Village, Wednesday. Agana is already a madhouse on Wednesdays. It's going to be a bigger madhouse this afternoon. So the waivers, and then you're going to go through the Chamorro Village side, and then there's all kinds of other stuff happening over at the Carabao and over at the Mosa and the Kitchen Lingos and all of that. So expect a busier than normal Wednesday over in the downtown Hagåtña area. We'll see if we can get some more information on this and help you out with an understanding of what it is that they're going to be doing this weekend over at the Micronesia Mall. In the meantime, time to take a look at what's going on in the markets and the business report here. I've got good news for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. They picked up 32 points. That's not a whole lot. That's a lot less than a percent of a point here. 28,939 is where they ended up. But I'll repeat that number because I like it. It's high, 28,939. That's shooting distance between here and 29,000 Dow. Dow at 29,000. You think maybe before the end of the year we might see a Dow at 30,000? I mean, the way the numbers have been going up, the way that it has been incrementally going up by in the thousands is fascinating in the last couple of years. NASDAQ at 92.51, they lost 22 points. The S&P 500 off by about 5 points to close at 3,283. FTSE is up by just a hair, 4.75 points higher, 7,622. Nikkei got a big boost here, 174 points in the green. They closed at 24,025. Hang Seng down by about 70. They closed at 28,885. Shanghai index off by about 8 points. They're off to 3,106. The DAX at 13,456. They picked up about 5 points. We were talking about Bitcoin. The guys, Rudy Magagliana says that there's been some movement.
Yeah, it's done pretty well over the past 20 hours or so. Started out at 81.04 and 50 cents, up right now to 8,722 and 96 cents.
Okay, so we got some action there. Gold is off by about $3.80. For those of you that are buying it or looking at investments, this might actually feel like an opportunity. $1,546 for an ounce of gold if you were buying that particular commodity. On the other commodities, I like to look at West Texas crude. That number is up by about 37 cents this morning. $58.03 was where it was yesterday. $58.40 for West Texas crude. Now, Tappas continues to be moving in a favorable direction for those of us that put a Tappas-derived product in our automobiles. $72.08 is where it's been trading for the last couple of days. Overnight, that number was changed, and it went down. $71.61 now for Tappas crude. So
it's been on a downward spiral now for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah,
Why haven't the prices gone down?
I don't know. You know, I don't know about that. You remember it peaked last week at about $77.80, and I think that freaked out a lot of guys that were doing the buying.
Collusion.
Whatever. 71.61. It is what it is. You want to get the Attorney General involved, or you want to have them working on trying to keep people behind bars or whatever, and going after 3M. This is going to be an interesting case to watch that one unfold. Anyway, $71.61 for Tappas crude this morning. Jerry Roberts got the extra point, but a couple of things that I thought we'd riff on before we get to it. There's a Business Insider's got an interesting story that I saw. The Guam Contractors Association reposted this on their Facebook page. Google can field up to 50,000 applicants a week, so their recruiters know what they're looking for when it comes to strong resumes, and they are recommending that if you are going to be putting your resume out there, whether it's for Google or anybody, there are some things in there that you need to focus on and highlight.
And you're going to tell us what those things are.
Number one, focus on impact. An accomplishment is impressive, but what really makes potential employers pay attention is what kind of impact that accomplishment has left with your organization and customers. And then there's data and examples. Not only should you highlight your accomplishments and their impact, but you need specific data and examples with these achievements as well. Use numbers, quantifiable examples of success. Normally, you just say, I did this, I did that on your resume. But if you say, I did this, and this project turned into something that increased revenues year over year by 15, 20%. That's going to be something that businesses are going to say, oh, yeah? You do that in my sales department? I'll make you a manager, right? A clean and consistent format. Your resume should be perfectly legible and look pristine. Black ink on white paper, half-inch margins, and make sure all columns are aligned. Keep fonts, sizes, and spacing consistent, and keep the resume tight. Because that's going to do the talking for you. Relevance to the job position. I see this every once in a while, and if somebody gave me a resume that included all kinds of non-broadcast stuff in it, I probably don't take a look at all of that. I want to go and see what you've done that is relevant to what I'm asking for, whether it's in technology, whether it's in sales, whether it's in office work and things like that. So kind of tailor your resume approach to the job that you're trying to get. And number 5, I love this one. Be fearless. What did they say about that? As you describe your previous job experience, let recruiters know what kind of selective process you endured in order to be chosen for a role or project. Don't be afraid to brag. Your resume won't be the best if it can be. It won't be the best. It can be if you choose to be shy. So put a little bit of press release spin on it. And if you'd like to get some great examples of press release spin, look no further than some of the press releases coming out of the governor's office and the legislature. They will take any single event, and you would think it was the second coming. They sent out that press release. I didn't have the image, but I finally saw it this morning in one of the newspapers. The press release that was talking about the Herculean miraculous effort that they've got to try to get the one-stop shop actually working 8 to 5 Monday through Friday with all of the people that you need to see there at one time. In April, they're going to be doing this miracle. And as it turns out, there was some pictures that came along with it. And yeah, you take a look at the picture and you go, oh, photo op. It's a photo op. That's what that was all about. I'll see if I can scrounge that up for you. So that's something that you can play around with. You can go to Business Insider for that story.
One more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Because all that stuff we've covered before in extra points. One thing they missed on that, and that is ditch the paragraph that says, looking for a job, a challenging position that best uses my talents.
I'm going to hurl right now. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. So try to be unique with this thing, but again, be fearless. If you've got something that is brag-worthy, then make sure that gets highlighted. And maybe even for that, I'd use a special font. 720 Wingdings. It's my favorite one. Nobody understands what the hell it is, but Wingdings are always fun to put somewhere in your resume. 7:28 in the morning. Jerry Roberts is in the studio. You want more information, you want more bragging, you want more of things that are going to get things done around the shop. It's the Extra Point, brought to you by Guam Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank.
You're trying to get ahead at work. You've been asking for a side project where you can show your stuff, and now you've worked your way through the organization, and let's say you've got one. Today, some important things to consider, including perhaps the most important of all, and that's next on the Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
An easily overlooked part of covering our home is what's inside of it. Over time, we buy things we don't want to lose, but don't update our contents coverage. The smart thing to do is get the answers and level up our insurance to make sure we're totally protected.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Yesterday, we talked about putting yourself on the radar screens of people who can decide to help advance your career by picking up a side project at work. You start by asking your boss. If she or he has one, you can jump into. If not, ask the boss's boss or the HR manager. You keep asking, and sooner or later, you'll find a vehicle to show what you can do. When you do find it, there are some issues to consider. First, when you take on a job, you want to do so with a clear understanding of what success looks like. Let's define what this job has to deliver before we start. In my terms, I ask the person assigning me the job where the end zone is. I want to know when I score. Second, let's ask some questions. What does the project mean to the organization? Let's not just understand what we're doing and where the goal line is, but why are we doing it, and how does this fit in to the overall scheme of things? What departments will benefit, and who are the key people there who have vested interests in my success? They'll care about my efforts, and I can build additional relationships. When you take on a job, you want to make the most of it. At one of our leadership events, maybe 20 years ago, an amazing speaker and thinker named Tom Peters offered an idea that was a real jaw-dropper. Peter said this: never accept a project or job as is. Think about that for a moment. Let it sink in. It's an unbelievably good piece of advice. When we don't take a job exactly as it's offered to us, it means we make changes to it. Making changes to a job or project is like stamping our logo, our brand on it. It becomes us, and it sends a message that we're different. We're not the average worker. We think things through and try to reach higher and farther. If you're thinking this has to be complex, it doesn't. Here's a really basic example. The big boss asks you to paint a bench because it's now a run-down green eyesore, and they're certainly not expecting your response, "Sure, boss. Do you mind if I choose the color?" Now, the average manager who is tuned in might respond, "I guess, but nothing crazy, okay?" If the boss isn't some kind of serious micromanager, you'll likely get to pick the paint, and that is putting your brand on the project. It goes deeper in the psychology involved. The boss might be thinking you had the confidence to ask that question. That's a good thing. It registers as positive on the mental scorecard they keep on you and everybody else. It's a bonus when you finish the work and present the freshly painted bench. Whether you paint, create plans, design software, landscape, build financial models, do talk shows, or about anything else, the key factor is that you get even slightly creative and innovative and deliver results which are, well, a bit unexpected. Make it a quality job. Make it yours. Make it memorable so they remember you, and make them want to do more with you. You can download transcripts number 486 and 487 at guamtraining.com in about a half an hour for yourself or to share with others. You can do this. You can do this. So get after it. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
I like that. So what color did in your story does the bench end up getting painted?
Purple.
Exactly.
A purple bench.
If that's your brand, then stick with it. It's 7:32. That's Jerry Roberts. And the extra point. We got time now for some headlines with Lolita Kamet bringing you the news here from RE/MAX Diamond Realty for all of your real estate needs. Give her a ring, 688-6743. Again, Auntie Lolita Kamet at 688-6743. Now with news from the Guam Daily Post, here's Mana Silva Tyron.
A police officer arrested after driving drunk a couple of years ago was spared jail time, but will have to serve a year probation. Dennis Santos was charged with driving drunk in an unmarked police car, then crashing it into another car at the Kmart intersection. The accident injured a family of 5. He was initially placed on administrative leave, but GPD isn't saying what other administrative action was taken against him. Former corrections officer Frankie Rosalind has had his case closed in court. Rosalind pleaded guilty to official misconduct as a misdemeanor and was spared jail time as well. His plea agreement states that he'll be on probation until August of 2021. His charges related to a prison contraband case that involved a number of officers and prisoners. And investigators have the passports of a man and a woman whose bodies were pulled from one of the lakes at the Guam International Country Club on Friday, but they are not ready to release their names as they are still reaching out to family members. Police have confirmed, though, that the victims are from Japan, and they are now working with the Japan consulate. Police are waiting for the results of an autopsy to determine the cause of death. And it appears the lack of a forensic pathologist is creating a backlog of cases, and GPD and the AG can't close cases without the results of an autopsy. It's been almost a year since the retirement of the last forensic pathologist. The AG is looking at if they can increase the salary for the job to make it more attractive. And those are some of your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, pick up a copy of the paper, log on to their website at postguam.com.
I'm trying to remember the name of the guy. Young Park, I think, was one of the Emmys that we used to have a long, long time ago. And
I remember him.
Yeah, and busy guy.
He lived down the street from us.
Yeah. And the recollection was that this guy was the highest paid guy in the government of Guam. He made more money than the governor and lieutenant governor, I think, combined back in those days. Because it's a lousy job. You don't want to deal with cadavers all the time. You got to dig into people's bodies and find out what's going on. And sometimes, just regular folks. And you got to imagine that some of the things, the worst things that they have to deal with, or when they got to deal with the bodies of small children and things like that, and the different ways that people can die around here. So it's not a pleasant job, and so this is one of those things where you just grit your teeth, open up your checkbook, find the guy, and pay him what he wants to come out here and do this for us for full time. 7:35 in the morning, and that's iConnect time. Call iConnect at 888-8888 and ask them about saving some money. What kind of money and what kind of programs? I was talking with some of the people in the front office yesterday. Mobile, push-to-talk, even internet plans at iConnect.
Lolita Kamet from RE/MAX Diamond Realty, a friendly, hardworking, and passionate RE/MAX professional, is committed to helping you make a difference in your life and to helping you achieve the American dream of home ownership. She also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, and military and corporate relocation. So for all your real estate needs, call Lolita Kamet from RE/MAX Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
Traffic gizmo time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go see what's happening out there on your roadways. I normally start from the north and work my way south. I think this time I'm going to tell you what's going on. Starting at Sumai and Petey, it's starting to get busy up there. Expect some traffic in front of Polaris Point. I got ugly traffic right now coming into the downtown Agutnia area on Route 4. Looks like there's more than enough spaces up there for you to be slowing down. Intersection traffic over by ORDOT, and then you get into Sinahanya. you'll slow things down around the 76 Circle K. Expect some delays when you finally get into town over at the construction site that they've got out there. Route 4 and 15, Apicento Gardens intersection is running busy. At the other end of that, at 10 and 15, also running busy. Expect some delays through there as you make your way between that intersection and then working your way into the Manilao area. University of Guam, GW, GCC, all of those intersections are running pretty busy right now. You get to the other end of Route 10 and 8, 10, and 16. It's busy up there in both directions coming out on Route 8. Once you pass that intersection, expect some delays getting into that one good turn that gets you onto Teedson. And then traffic southbound. This is the worst of it right now, and the worst I've seen in a little bit. Traffic coming out of Jigo. Let me see if I can give you an idea. Right around Crown Bakery, right around that turn. Into Woostig Road. Expect southbound delays all the way into Dededo. It'll meet up with light traffic over at Waisangsong, and then things will open up a little bit, but you're going to get slowed down and snagged over at the intersection of 1 and 3. Traffic on 3 trying to get to 1, good luck. And the other piece of good luck is apparently there's going to be doing some road work on Route 3 over the next couple of days, so expect some delays over through those construction areas. My God, that's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of cars on Guam, and we're proving it every morning. Real life right now traffic here on The Point.
Everyone has a busy schedule these days, and sometimes we forget to schedule our routine dental checkup and cleaning. Don't neglect your dental health. Schedule one today with Dr. Robert Yang and his Smile Team, conveniently located at the East West Business Center on Marine Drive, Upper Tumon. Call us today at 647-8702 or 3. Again, that's 647-8702 or 647-8703. We make smiles happen.
It's the Extra Josh theme song. Are you feeling it, Mana? Are you having a good time? Has the Extra Josh changed your life?
I haven't yawned in like 30 minutes.
Yeah. And you blew through the headlights. Zoom.
Did I really?
Yeah. We'll see. So, as I said,
it tasted pretty good. It was a little bit perfumey, but it's got like a pineapple flavored.
But the effervescent part of it gets you. Like I said, this is an Extra Joss. It's an energy drink. I've only ever found it at one place on Guam, and I'm not going to say where it is because it's the only place that I found it here. And used to be able to go at the Robinsons at BGC and buy them by the handful, but I did not see it the last time I was there. So it's Extra Joss, and they come in little sachets, little packets that look like handy wipes from KFC. So you open one of these things up and you pour it in about a coffee cup's worth of water, and it bubbles up like what is that stuff?
Like Alka-Seltzer.
Alka-Seltzer, yeah. It bubbles up, it effervesces, so it kind of mixes itself in with the water, and it's, as I said, like a Monster Energy drink or a Red Bull or something like that. And I modulate the strength of this by putting it in less water than it needs, so I drink it a little bit strong.
Okay. So we're going to try it tomorrow with your...
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to try, and we ought to have medical professionals standing by. I really want to. I'm going to do it for science. I'm doing it for science. It's going
to be a very fast show tomorrow.
I'm going to, we'll do 4 hours of the program in 3. The Extra Joss, but I'm going to mix it with the Autonomen C and see if I can give myself a heart attack on the radio.
Oh my God!
What do you think? I should actually do it today because I got GRMC coming in a little bit later on in the program. 888-8255 is the telephone number around here. We also have the WhatsApp 988-5874, and the WhatsApp is cranking. If you're looking for an excuse to add the point to your WhatsApp, 988-5874 is the number. Then send me a picture from your smartphone. And generally, around the Christmas time, I was asking people to send me pictures of their Christmas trees. But generally, send me a picture of a sunrise. I mean, if you were out there early this morning and it just took your breath away, so much so that you had to reach over and grab your smartphone and grab a picture, then send me it so I can share it with everybody that's listening on the program this morning.
If I could turn back time.
Beautiful sunrise here today, and while I've got the internet open, let me see if there's other pictures. My friend Carlos Barreto sent this picture in, and this is another one of those clouds associated with the volcano in the Philippines, Taal. And if you look closely at it on Facebook Live, this is kind of creepy. It's got there's somebody's face. It's an image, almost a demonic face that is making its presence in the picture here on the Facebook Live. Monty, you see that? You see the picture? It's like the Bukalu is in there in the picture.
Momo.
Yeah, right. So you got that one there. Now it's probably retouched.
No,
Somebody
I saw that
on
yesterday, and they said it looked like one of the characters from Cats.
Yeah. And speaking of characters from Cats, if for no other reason, we spent a lot of time talking about the volcano story, so that we can tell you if it came to bullets and you could not get a face mask, ask a woman around you for her bra. A woman's bra can be turned into, and it looks like it works for a variety of sizes for the bra and for the faces that it will go on. So you get one of those things, and it's fairly easy to maneuver the bra into turning into something that will look like a face mask.
Well, some noses are bigger than others.
I hear that, yes.
And for the larger size bras, you can cut eyes into it, as Mike suggested yesterday.
Stupid show. I tell you what, I don't know. 888-825-5888-TALK. Got Joe on the line. Wanted to make a reference to a conversation that we had yesterday with Senator Jim Moylan. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Ray. So yesterday he was talking about, was it the part-time government, or is it things having to do with helping the people or the budget? Well, the thing is that one of the first bills that he put forward was, I think it was 18-35. I'm not sure if I got those numbers mixed up, but it has to do with homeless shelter, health center, and so the money was already allocated, to my understanding, but it fell through. Money was returned from the Guam Housing Corporation to the governor's office. What is it, BBMR or whatever the acronym is? And so the question is now, that money, if it's still around, it was not returned. Let's say it was compact impact money, and because of that, it's still under the purview of the new governor. Mm-hmm. Shouldn't some of that money be used to assist with this homeless count? Was it the I'm not sure what they're calling it.
January 30th, appointed time count that they're going to be doing at the end of the month to track homeless individuals on Guam and see where those numbers are. And unfortunately, those numbers, and depending on where you live, Joe, you probably see an increase in the number of homeless people, both locals and Micronesians, that find themselves sleeping outside all the time.
And they're fundraising for this. So my thought is, if that money is still around, should not some of that money go where it was initially allocated to assisting with the homeless?
Yeah, we'd like to see all of the fidelity maintained on all of the accounts that are in the government of Guam, and sometimes it depends on how the law is written, with regard to those funds. I'll give you an example. There was money that came in from the qualifying certificates. What is it? 1% of the value of a building that is supposed to go to CAHA. And those funds specifically by law said you cannot use that for airplane tickets. You cannot use those funds for air travel. And so the legislature went back in and changed it because they want to send 100 people to FESPAC. They actually changed the law forcing CAHA now to use those funds for airplane rides.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it all depends on how the law is written, and even if there is a law that's written that very clearly says that these funds are only to be used for their intended purpose, not to be commingled with the general fund, which means they have to go into a real special bank account, then what happens is the money finds its way into the general fund, and people generally ignore the law, as they did with E911 dollars, as they did with PICA's money for the Chamorro Trust.
Well, Ray, the good news is this is an election year, so hopefully people will not have a short attention span, and they'll remember coming. Was it November?
No, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's going to have to be some courageous people that step forward and throw their hat in the rings and decide that this is going to be the time that we're going to actually elect people based on their plans, based on their capabilities, and not so much on the beauty contest that we've been having lately.
Well, like you, Ray, that'd be you. You got both the beauty and the and the.
I am an attractive. I must say, I am an attractive man, aren't I?
Hey, thanks for your time, Ray. Happy New Year. Thanks.
I'm looking at Mana. She's just rolling her eyes, going, "Oh God." What? 888-825-5888-TA. Don't make me put up the Facebook does this thing where they bring back your memories from last year. So last year, I forget what it was, but last year everybody was doing one of those 10-year things, right? This is what I look like now. This is what I look like 10 years ago.
I sent you one yesterday from what, 15 years ago?
Yes. Oh my God. Don't recognize that guy at all. As a picture of my daughter.
Put it up.
I'll see if I can put it up.
That was a cute one to Mayumi.
doesn't look as when she was fat. It's amazing. 7:46 in the morning. So there we go. There we are here in the program. And as I was saying, a bunch of stuff on the Facebooks. I got some more of these pictures that people are sending in of sunrises. I think this is a sunrise this morning from it's definitely sunrise. It's just pretty out there these days. Sunrises and sunsets.
Is that Alicia's picture? I thought I saw that one on Facebook.
I don't know where that comes in from, but I'll see what I can scare up for you. Now there is one. I got a video yesterday, and I don't know that there is any audio behind it, but I'll ask Mike to keep the audio down on this just in case there's something that I did not hear, because as I've come to learn over the last year or so of doing visual radio here, people will take videos of very, very interesting things out there and very curiosities that are happening at intersections and things like that. But we just cannot shoot video without saying a four-letter word. It is the brawl.
I don't know
it's
if
there
was even any audio on that one.
I don't think there was. I didn't hear anything, but clearly there is some kind of fisticuffs going on. This is not mixed martial arts. This two guys just laying into each other out in a parking lot at a warehouse somewhere. It got somebody that is shooting video. I love this. Here's a guy on the phone in a safety shirt. Right, this guy looks like he could be a safety officer. Just walks right by it. It doesn't even look at it. Going, looks like we're gonna fight here, and just walks right by the thing. And this, I don't know that I've ever been in a fight that lasted this long, where you got these two guys. The guy in the black shirt obviously got his adversary lowered on one side. He gets up. And is there going to be more? That's where our video ends. Yeah. I don't know who these guys are. I don't know where this took place. I don't know when it took place. I don't know what caused the fight here. Is it possible when it was all said and done, these guys got up, shook off the dust and
went and had a beer, man?
Yeah, come on, dude. Okay, I told you, don't look at my wife that way. I'm not going to tell you again. And you just get into a little bit of a hassle, and that's the way it is. But I don't know. It's just there's two things about this that bother me, and one of them is. Somebody, it's okay. Take the picture, shoot a couple of seconds of the video, and then put the phone down and go stop the fight before somebody gets hurt. It wasn't that long ago that you get a couple of guys that were partying in a parking lot somewhere after work, and they got into a fight. One of them's dead. So you got to. I mean, it looks like they're about the same size. It looks like they're equally matched here. It looks like one of those Packers and Vikings games. It looks like we've got a couple of evenly matched guys, but easily somebody could have gotten severely hurt in this. And then the guy, like I said, with the hard hat and the safety jacket, just kind of walks by like there's nothing going on, like it happens every day.
Yeah, I'm going to speculate that this is actually a supporter of Mike San Nicolas and of the legislature, and they're finally just battling it out like they want the other guys to do. I told you my guy's got his bill and working in Congress. It's just a matter of time. Can you not wait on 181? And yeah, that's the other guy. So which one was the San Nicolas supporter? Was it the winner? I think it's the guy that won.
The guy that won is the San Nicolas supporter.
I'm going to hope so.
We've already got a plan here to get the money into the Treasury, into the hands of the people that have, with the war claims. And then the loser here is going to be a representative from Adelup going, no, but we've got Bill 181. We passed it. We signed it. We're just waiting on, final approval on the MOA, the Memorandum of Agreement with the Treasury Department. And so, yeah, that's what's going on. Just a little bit of a scuffle, some fisticuffs going on out there. 10 away from the top of the hour, 888-8255. This is the kind of stuff here. I didn't want to say stuff. I wanted to say something else. Another four. It's the kind of stuff that we're unfortunately getting used to around here.
Maybe they're fighting because they can't go to the cockfight anymore.
Right?
And they're fighting each other, and somebody's placing a bet.
Maybe that's the thing here. Maybe somebody was taking a bet on it.
The guy walking by, he's the ring guy.
There is a story comes out a couple of days ago. GPD responded to a report of a male standing in the middle of the roadway on Santos Hill, stopping traffic and calling people out to fight. It doesn't say exactly what time this happened in the preamble here. Arriving officer Lizama observed a thin male identified as Paul Evaristo yelling incoherently, standing in a bladed stance in the middle of the intersection between the north and southbound left turn lanes, facing another male in in dark clothes who was yelling, "Why did you hit me?" A female in between trying to calm the male in the dark clothes. And it goes on to talk about a couple of other people that had called in and made some complaints about this guy. Paul Evaristo was pulling on the driver's side door. Mr. Yasu got out as the light turned green. Ms. Rest got into the driver's seat and maneuvered the vehicle into the parking lot of Tumon Horizon Condos, where she then got out and went back to the intersection, at which time finally the police got there. Paul Evaristo was yelling continuously about blank GPD, they're weak-ass punks. I'm a god who can take their lives in only 2 minutes. I'm tempted to memorialize that line. I'm tempted, as we did with I ain't no snitch. Yeah. I know my rights, pig. I ain't no snitch. So I'm thinking about memorializing this and turning this into a Ray Gibson quote, a Ray Gibson show quote. I'm a god who can take their lives in only 2 minutes. Why'd you cuff me? I didn't do anything wrong. And then went babbling on about the Bible and being able to take lives.
I would say that God would actually do it a lot faster than 2 minutes.
That's right. I'm a God,
Probably
instantaneously, right? I'm a God who can take their lives in only 2 minutes. Paul Evaristo, and while it is we don't know why. I don't know whether whether they found the smell of an intoxicating liquid on his breath or anything like that, or whether this is just another in a continuing series and saga of people that we've got here on Guam that for whatever reason require some kind of mental health, somebody to sit him down and calm down the demons and exercise the demons in his soul and make it so that he can become a little bit more of a productive member of the community. I mean, and that may be the story there, or maybe it's just one of these drug guys that we're tweaking. We don't know. He was arrested for disorderly conduct and obstructing the public ways and assault. So we'll watch and see what happens.
What time of the day was this?
It doesn't say on or about the 12th day of January 2020, but it doesn't say about what time Officer Lizalma got there. And with everything else that we've got to worry about, the folks with alcohol issues and crystal methamphetamine issues, here we are finding ourselves with another strike against the community, with an inability to keep track of folks that clearly are having mental health episodes. So there you go. We got fight videos and we got guys. This is not too far away from the story that we had the other day. You remember the lady that called in from over in Cañada Toto, where there was some crazy woman trying to get into everybody's car.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if this guy is the one that actually escaped from behavioral health and wellness. They had a guy escape.
But wasn't that the guy that stole the van? I think it was. The guy they claimed. I had the magistrate report on that, where he was talking out loud about the voices in his head told him there was an opportunity. So while the lady was inside the store buying whatever, he jumps into the front of the car and drives it away.
You know, sometimes you just can't listen to everything the voices in your head tell you.
You shouldn't. In many cases, you should not listen to the voices. And it's like being out after midnight. You know, just nothing good can come of being out after midnight. That's when all kinds of trouble happens and all of that. 888-825-5888-TALK. As I'm looking over the table of contents here, this is one of those days where anybody that has got concerns about crime in this community should be even more concerned. And you can delve into the details, but I think the front page says it all. No jail time for cop in drunken driving crash. What happened there? Case closed for ex-DOC guard Rosalind. The case against former DOC officer Frankie Rosalind has been closed. He pled guilty to official misconduct as a misdemeanor, spared jail time. His plea agreement states he'll be on probation until August 2021, and at the end of the day, he won't be able to go back to work for the Department of Corrections and nowhere else in the government of Guam. Oh shucks, he had a shot at the great Gov Guam lottery and then missed it. But this, in my mind, is one of the more interesting stories about Guam and the way things work in the government of Guam. It doesn't involve a cop that was busted for drunk driving. It doesn't involve somebody over at DOC. It involves the SHPO, the historic officer, Linda Uggan, who got her job back. or who could get her job back.
Yeah, she could. And back pay.
And back pay. Civil Service Commission. And thank God it's not that long. I mean, how long has she been in the beach?
I think less than a year, yeah.
Yeah, since she was fired by Richie Banas over at the at the Department of Parks and Work. That's where the SHPO's office is reposed. So we were all kind of surprised when we heard that she was on the outs and that she was removed from that position. And then we started, reading up on, some of the things. And I'm looking at it going, yeah, okay, I guess he was an obnoxious manager of people over at the Department of Parks and Rec. But, I mean, how many departments and agencies do we have on Guam where there is somebody at a toxic supervisor level? Think about this to yourself. You already know the answer. You've already got the name in your head. Toxic supervisor in the government of Guam? Yeah. But was that enough to get her taken out of that position? And some say that there was a whole lot of politics behind that particular removal of her because she was, quote, standing in the way of the development of the military properties that are being constructed here on Guam. So there was some of that. I don't know. I never really got down to the bottom of it because I was, interested more in the Peyton Place kind of drama that was coming up about the things that people were saying about how she was a mean boss lady in the office and how she basically had her way with policies, procedures, and personnel in the Department of Parks and Recreations. As I said, oh, too bad. That's what you get. Sometimes you get a good teacher. Sometimes you get a bad teacher. That's just the way it is. But anyway, she's out. Civil Service Commission gets together and basically said management failed. The decision is the employee prevailed in this case, so it's possible that there is going to have to be hat in hand. Who is going to go and talk to Linda Uggan now? Is it going to have to be Richie Banas that talks to her and welcomes her back into the fold? Welcome back to the family. Got a little potluck going for you.
Yeah, I think so. I think it has to come from him, right, as the director?
I guess he is the one that did the termination, but under whose orders did he pull the plug? Does that go up even higher? Is that beyond the cabinet level? And is it something that came down from upon high?
And I believe
I guess the way I want to ask the question is, does Lilian Guerrero have to eat crow on this?
Well, I think the government still has an opportunity to appeal.
I think they can only do that in a court now because the Civil Service Commission says they're done.
So we'll see if they do actually take it to the court.
Let's see. And how much is the back pay going to end up being? I tell you what, if you've got a job, you've got to be somebody at the Department of Corrections that pleads guilty on meddling over there in order to lose your job in the government because there's all kinds of people, just a steady parade of people that go before the Civil Service Commission who look like they've been terminated with good grounds. And all of a sudden we find them back on the job and pulling in their regular salary plus what they missed, the restitution.
Yeah, and let's not forget about Pat Lujan, who actually, jumped into this gig when he was appointed and has really tried to do his very best, thrown himself into it 100%, and now they got to put the screeching brakes on him, and he's got to turn around and rearrange his whole life, too, if she is actually given her job back.
Actually, you know what? Maybe we ought to get him on the phone, see what he's up to, besides, watching the under-15 games that are taking place over at Guam Major League's field. 7:58 and change on the Ray Gibson Show. So you got that. If we're lucky, we might run into a couple of other people and talk about the rest of the crime beat, because in addition to the no jail time, there's other stories that have got my attention. The prescription druggie is now again in front of the court. Is another one of these cases where the guy failed to show up for his probation hearings and talking to the guys. I'm sorry, I forgot I was in trouble with the law and I just didn't want to go. I don't have a car because I don't have a job because I'm under arrest. And the guy that stole the antenna, I believe, from the antenna farm out in Barragata, he is going into the lockup again for the third time as his release has been revoked. Basically the same deal. He just keeps getting into trouble. It's fun stories, right? 7:59, 8 o'clock in the morning. This is KUSG Hagåtña 93.3. We are The Point.
Playground gets hit with jet fuel. Elisa Brady, Fox News, reports just coming in from California. where a flight to China was apparently dumping fuel while turning around. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal is live in L.A.
Lisa, the Los Angeles County Fire Department said 17 children and 9 adults suffered minor injuries at Parkview Elementary in South Los Angeles after a passenger jet flying over the school dumped fuel out of the plane. An aviation journalist posted video of what appeared to be a Delta flight with 2 large white puffy trails behind it. People on the ground said it smelled like fuel. Fire officials said they treated everyone on scene. No one was taken to a hospital. Delta said in a statement that shortly after taking off, a flight headed from LAX to Shanghai experienced an engine problem, which forced it to return to LAX, and the fuel release reduced the plane's weight before landing. Lisa.
Thanks, Jessica. The impeachment debate ramps up again as the Senate prepares to take the case. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on Capitol Hill.
The House Democrats will pass a resolution sending over articles of impeachment to the Senate tomorrow, a resolution that will also name impeachment managers who serve as prosecutors in a Senate trial.
The American people deserve a fair trial under the Constitution. That's what we're all fighting for.
Maryland Democrat Jamie Raskin played a prominent role in the House impeachment inquiry. He has not hinted if he will be a manager. The trial in the Senate is expected to begin Tuesday. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the Chief Justice could swear in senators who act as jurors later this week. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. Meantime, President Trump holds a rally in Milwaukee tonight while 6 of the Democratic candidates have a debate in Des Moines, less than 3 weeks to the Iowa caucuses.
People are beginning to make up their minds now, and this is a critical moment.
Joe Biden downplaying a new Monmouth University poll that gives him a 6-point edge in Iowa. America is listening to Fox News.
Want to grow your business? Start a new venture? Or stay ahead of the competition? You can. With Docomo Pacific Smart Business Solutions tailored to your specific needs and ambitions, you can do it all. Partner with a network with best-in-class network coverage, state-of-the-art communication platforms, and a team dedicated to providing you with premium support. Call 688-2677 to start your journey to success today. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon is stirring up some of your favorite drinks all night long. Come down on Wednesday and Friday nights from 5:30 to 10 p.m. Indulge in some of your favorite local cuisine and pair it with your favorite drink. From our ice-cold beers, our finest selection of wines and liquors, to our top-notch cocktail specials, your friends at Mezcla Bistro Tumon are ready to serve you. Why limit happy to only an hour? The Mezcla family reminds everyone to drink responsibly. See you on Wednesday and Friday night.
In the battleground state of Wisconsin, an appeals court has put a purge of voter rolls on hold while a court fight continues over the information being used to identify voters who would have their registrations deactivated. Meantime, in Missouri, the state Supreme Court today permanently blocking a key part of a 2016 voter ID law that the court said required a misleading and contradictory sworn statement from people lacking a photo ID. The first officer for the newest branch of the U.S. military is sworn in a White House ceremony.
U.S. Space Force now has a top commander.
So help me God.
Vice President Mike Pence swears in Air Force General Jay Raymond as the first ever Chief of Space Operations. Raymond still wears an Air Force uniform as the new military branch has yet to design their own. But in his remarks following his oath, the general says Space Force is a realization that wars might not be just by land, sea, or air.
And this establishment is absolutely critical to our national security.
And as the top uniformed officer for this new branch of the military, General Raymond will also be a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Eben Brown, Fox News.
A movie soundtrack milestone for a rising star.
I'm the bad guy. Duh.
Billie Eilish will perform the title track for the latest 007 outing, No Time to Die, making her the youngest artist ever to write and perform the title track for the feature film franchise. Eilish called it a huge honor, adding, James Bond is the coolest film franchise ever to exist. I'm still in shock.
Fox's Michelle Polino, the 18-year-old singer who's currently nominated for 6 Grammys, says she's written the title track with her brother, Phineas. A rally fizzled today on Wall Street. The Dow still finished higher, though, up 33 points. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Chili's 2 for $25 is back. Start with an appetizer to share. Then choose 2 entrees like our mouth-watering Old Timer with cheeseburger or the Cajun chicken pasta, grilled chicken with penne and Alfredo sauce, and chili spices. Feeling extra? Upgrade to a personal fajita or our famous half-rack ribs. Bring a friend or a date to Chili's and get 2 entrees for $25. Located on the 2nd floor of Tumon Sands Plaza. Chili's. More life happens here.
Live the balanced lifestyle. Take Care Insurance offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage individuals and families to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing and unwinding, and being socially connected. They have the island's largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs for all ages. Join the movement.
Sanchez will have his driver's license suspended for 6 months, however, will be allowed to drive for work. The judge also required him to report to probation every month, and he must stay away from alcohol and establishments that sell alcohol. Sanchez, who was off duty that night, had a blood alcohol level that was 3 times the legal limit when he ran a red light and crashed into a vehicle turning from the Kmart intersection. Gary Hawkins attended yesterday's hearing. His wife and 3 children were in the car that was struck by an unmarked official. GPD vehicle driven by Sanchez. The youngest of the Hawkins children was 4 years old at the time. The entire family was treated for their injuries. Sanchez was ordered to pay $12,000 to the victims. He must also perform 150 hours of community service. Following the crash, Sanchez was placed on administrative leave with pay and then took sick leave for his injuries. GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau says details of the disciplinary action against Sanchez can't be disclosed because it is a personnel matter. The case against former Department of Corrections officer Frankie Rosalind has been closed. Rosalind pleaded guilty to official misconduct as a misdemeanor in August of 2019 and was spared jail time. His plea agreement states he'll be on probation until August 2021. Adult Probation Services told the court on Tuesday that Rosalind had completed the terms of his probation, which resulted in the judge closing the case. Rosalind was among 13 prisoners and prison workers who were indicted in September of 2017 in a scheme to bring methamphetamine, cell phones, and other contraband into the Manila prison for 2 maximum security inmates. Phone records show that there were conversations between 2 maximum security inmates, Rosalind and other corrections officers. The text messages were sent between May and the end of July 2017. Inmate Sean Johnson and Rosalind communicated back and forth about bringing contraband into DOC when shakedowns were going to occur. Multiple references indicated that the contraband they were referring to was methamphetamine. Several other defendants in the contraband scheme have taken similar plea deals with the government. Investigators have the passports of the man and woman whose bodies were plucked from one of the lakes at the Guam International Country Club in Dededo on Friday, but they're not ready to release their names as they are reaching out to family members still. Police have confirmed that the victims are from Japan and they are now working with the Japan consulate. The incident occurred just hours after the pair had registered as guests at the golf course. The case was classified a drowning, but authorities have yet to determine or say how the incident occurred. Investigators are waiting for an autopsy to be performed on the 2 to determine their exact cause of death. Elsewhere in the news, the February trial of 3 people facing federal drug charges has been delayed for about 4 months to allow defense attorneys time to go through the thousands of pages of discovery in the case. Defendants Lovelia Mendoza, Joseph Roman, and Mark Mayo all appeared in court yesterday. They've pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to distribute meth, attempted possession of methamphetamine with the intent to distribute, and notice of forfeiture. The judge granted the request to extend the deadline and now has a trial set for them in June. According to the indictment, the 3 allegedly participated in a scheme to distribute 50 or more grams of methamphetamine in April through May of 2018. Mendoza, who's currently serving time for a separate drug possession case, is also the former girlfriend of Jotnya Mayor Jesse Blas. Blas is behind bars as well, awaiting a federal jury trial on extortion and bribery charges in connection with an alleged illegal drug activity that was taking place in his village. More news after this.
Hi, welcome to this ad for new Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. How do you want it?
Cheer squad. Woo! Go Subway sliders starting at $1.99 each. Woo! Give me a ham and jack slider.
Ham and jack slider.
Give me an Italian spice slider.
Italian spice slider.
What's that spell?
It doesn't really spell anything.
New Subway sliders starting at $1.99 each. Go sliders!
Subway, make it what you want.
Go green, go hybrid. Go to Nanbo Insurance, and your next power bill is on us. Insure your hybrid car at Nanbo and get up to $350 towards your next power bill. That's instant savings for keeping our island clean and green. Nanbo has been providing Guam with over 50 years of reliable and affordable auto insurance. At Nanbo, it pays to go green. Terms and conditions apply. Visit nanbo.com or call 477-9754 for details.
It's been almost a year since the retirement of the last forensic pathologist, and still the government of Guam has not filled that position. Dr. Aurelio Espinola retired, and the Office of the Attorney General has since faced a number of challenges in finding a new medical examiner. Carlina Charfras, who's the spokeswoman at the AG's office, says the pool of candidates is small, with only about 700 to 800 forensic pathologists throughout the United States. The salary for the new medical examiner may or may not be an issue, but it has been discussed in the previous Commission on Postmortem Examinations meetings. Charfras says there's been discussion with the Northern Marianas Attorney General's office to see if they can increase the salary of the medical examiner to make the position more attractive. Guam's chief medical examiner pay currently ranges from $200,000 to $250,000. At issue is that without a medical examiner, some cases can't move forward. Just for an example, the Guam Police Department still needs the autopsy results on a man who died after an apparent shooting in Manilao in December of last year. GPD's chief, Steve Ignacio, last month said without a full-time medical examiner, the government of Guam has to wait for a part-time physician from Hawaii or Saipan to conduct the autopsies. Meanwhile, former police officer Mark Torrey Jr.'s defense lawyer wants the medical examiner's prior testimony thrown out in Torrey's second trial. Judge Mike Berdalio heard arguments from the defense attorney, Jay Ariola, to his motion to exclude the prior testimony of Dr. Aurelio Espinola, the former chief medical examiner for Guam. Espinola conducted the autopsy and issued the cause of death for the victim, who was fellow police officer Bert Piolo. Espinola determined the cause of death was a homicide and testified in Torrey's first trial. Torrey and Piolo were fellow police officers at the time of his death. They had been drinking together prior to the shooting. Torrey was charged in Piolo's death, but Torrey claims that it was a suicide. Espinola is currently residing in the Philippines, and the defense wants him to testify. The court believes that Espinola will be able to. However, the prosecution says he's not yet responded. The judge in the case has taken the matter under advisement. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
Oh, weather. There's going to be some today. It's going to be nice. I got that feeling. Mostly cloudy, becoming partly cloudy by late this morning. Maybe some isolated light showers. Winds from the northeast, about 20 miles an hour. Highs 87 degrees. Overnight lows should be about 76 degrees. But the real headline here is going to be the sunsets. We've had some terrific sunsets over the last couple of days, and fully anticipate that is going to be the case tonight at 6:12 p.m. That's when the sun is going to break the plane. But in the meantime, there's going to be some just awesome skies before that, and maybe once it does go under the horizon, we ought to get some nice new scatter in the clouds and the particulate that is out there, just floating around the atmosphere, waiting for sunset opportunities like the kind that we're going to have tonight. 8:14. We'll take a look at the weather radar right now. Michael Knight's going to tell you what right now weather is going to be like. Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. Oh, wait a second. No, that's not the radar.
Well, she's upset with my weather forecast.
Could
clearly.
be. All right.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. And it looks like we've still got some of those those trade winds coming in from the northeast, bringing some clouds.
Yeah, we got one trade wind disturbance moving through right now. Again, these are just little ripples in the atmosphere. Think of them as waves. If you're standing on well, the bays are really good because if you're in a closed, sheltered bay, you see these little ripples of energy across the water. Same thing, the air. Air is the same as water, just not as dense. We also see another line back behind it. Again, another little bit of a trade wind ripple coming on through. That second one looks a little more healthy, and it's probably being fueled by some of the sunshine while the first
Ripple
one
one of those
dies
drinks
out.
that you can, one of those wines that you can get at the gas station?
I don't know.
Was it like Mad Dog Night Train and Ripple? Wasn't that
Ripple,
one of those?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, strawberry.
Sorry, just
Never heard of it.
Yeah,
No, you should try it sometime.
Yeah,
You've never had a hangover until you have a bottle of that.
Exactly, one of those things. 8:15 in the morning. All right, so that's what we got for you. Quick look at what's happening with the satellite imagery.
Yeah, and one thing
what's in the neighborhood.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out here is we see to the northwest of us, or up to the upper left, that one line of clouds seems to be dying out. That's a shear line, and it seems to be petering out as this front continues to kind of push down towards us. The front is the larger area of clouds, and it was extending from the lower left up to the top right. And I'm not sure if that's going to move through, but it's certainly going to make things interesting because that definitely is a cold front. It'll probably weaken before it does, and we might get a shear line.
Yeah, well, but we got that junk coming in from the southeast, and I'm wondering. I mean, it seems to be. I mean, it's different altitudes that we're seeing. So we got some wind that's coming in this direction, but we've also, like I said, got that junk from the southeast that's going to be influencing us as well.
Yeah, what happens is when fronts come in, then they always advect moisture from the south, and so that's kind of what's happening here. That front is getting close enough to us to help pull up some of that moisture from down there, and so that's why they're calling for a little bit more clouds and maybe even some more showers sometime this weekend. But for right now, short term, we're looking pretty good with dry trade wind weather. So get out there and enjoy.
It might be a little bit of humidity coming back into the forecast, so I'm thinking baby powder. It's 8:17 in the morning. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Everyone has a busy schedule these days, and sometimes we forget to schedule our routine dental checkup and cleaning. Don't neglect your dental health. Schedule one today with Dr. Robert Yang and his Smile Team, conveniently located at the East West Business Center on Marine Drive, Upper Tumon. Call us today at 647-8702 or 3. Again, that's 647-8702 or 647-8703. We make smiles happen.
It's the Ray Gibson Show for our groovy guys and groovy gals, being brought to you by Take Care Insurance, offering proven wellness and fitness programs that encourage you and your folks to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle. The important stuff, preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing, unwinding, and staying socially connected. That keeps your brain moving in the right direction. Also brought to you by American President Lines, APL, global presence in a local home, and the team over at Denny's with some new local items on their menu. Told you about this in the last hour, but they've also got international items on their menu as well. We've got the Hearty Breakfast Slam, Berry Vanilla Crepe breakfast, banana chocolate hazelnut crepe breakfast, premium chicken tenders, boneless chicken wings, honey buttermilk chicken tender sandwiches, Cali chicken burritos, and grilled haddock. I don't know what a haddock is, but if they're cooking it over at Denny's, then it's going to be good.
Rediscover talk radio here. It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
It's 8:18. It's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. Hi, I would be the Ray Gibson, and it's just a thrill to have everybody online here with us this morning. I love it when we start off with a big crowd and everybody just kind of stays. It's nice to see all kinds of incredible folks hanging out with me. I got my friend Tammy Bamba there. There's Ronnie D'Analdo is hanging out with us. And if you know Ronnie, I was talking yesterday about the designer purse opportunities, and she was the lady that I was talking about. So if you know her, then ask her if she's got any cool intel on some designer purse opportunities that are coming soon. Charlie Hermosa's there. Smug Wimp. Ellen Brady is online. Yes, that Ellen Brady. I got Rowena is there. I see Director Cho online this morning. That's nice. Andy Hendricks, Roy Gamboa. That's Commissioner Roy Gamboa out there. Pam Duvall, Gallo Perez, my friends Sherry Lynn de Fontorum, Alex Ridge, and Yuka Hechinova over at the hospital watching the program. Lillian Cruz, Richard Clark, Debbie Kanata. Neats is online. What are we talking about tomorrow's and the 80s in the class of 1984. Debbie Canat is there. Rosa Regis, Mary Singeo Danina is online this morning, and so is Denise Chrysostimo. Hi, DDB. Nice to see you online, hanging out with me this morning. And who else is playing around? Kenny Williams has joined up. So's Lisa San Augustin, Margaret Blas, Crystal Schnabel, Ryan Hawaiian, and Lynn Perez is on and celebrating. Is it Lynn? Is it your birthday today? Is it when is the birthday of Lynn? I think it's supposed to be if it's I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Happy birthday anyway.
Yeah,
just in case.
I didn't get you anything, and no one is surprised by that. But he says, if I have to go and find something, there's Paris Blas. Paris knows when Lynn's birthday is. If you do have to go find something, may I suggest that you run by 76 Circle K. They have got something new, and they're smart. They know if they send this by the radio station, the guy behind the microphone might talk about this. They are now selling. I don't know if they come in 3-packs. They might, but they are now selling hot and spicy Spam red rice musubi. Mm-hmm. It's good.
You scarfed it down.
I had one while you were doing the newscast. This is good. I mean, it's regular Spam, but they put some hot sauce on it and some sesame seed.
So it's not the spicy Spam.
I did not detect spicy. If it was spicy Spam, I would have left the room because I cannot handle the hot Spam, which they purposely made hotter because they knew that if they said it was a hot Spam and they put it on Guam and it wasn't very hot, the Chamorros would go crazy.
Yeah.
There would be an open revolt in the streets.
That.
No, it's a little hot for me. But anyway, so I think it's regular Spam with some hot sauce on it and then the regular musubi. But the cool thing is they're using red rice in this, not white rice, red rice. So I want you to give that a shot, and maybe you can do that while we're handling the sports around here on the radio station. 8:21 in the morning, and is it time to pretend to talk about sports? No one pretends to talk about sports better than we do here on this broadcast. We don't waste a whole lot of time on sports. We'll look at some of what I like to refer to as headline sports and then just move on. But there is also opportunity for me to get in some editorial digs. I consider cockfighting a sport, and we're still getting stories about the guys from the AWA who just cannot leave well enough alone. You've already got the law. You've already got you've got twisting everybody's arms around here for enforcement. They just keep coming out with press releases and stories. And this one says that 137 Guamanians may have illegally imported game fowl. So what's the next thing now? Based on the federal laws that existed before. On importation and kind of the way that some of these game fowls might have been described that let them in under the radar of the federal law. And so what? Do these 137 individuals now have to worry that you guys are going to be pushing for federal court action? The FBI is going to round up these 137 people that heretofore had been doing something that was legal?
Hurry up, barbecue the evidence.
Ha! I don't think you want to eat that stuff. I'm not sure, but I don't think you want to eat that. Hey, I got my buddy Mark Colby on the line, brother. How you doing?
Good morning, sir. I'm still having a flashback. You mentioned Night Train. My preference was Boone's Farm.
Oh, Boone's Farm. Oh, my God. This is the old hippie wine.
Strawberry Hill.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's...
Hill.
You know why? Because in high school, we could go to Thrifty Mart and they would sell it to us and not check our IDs.
Yup,
Remember?
I remember that. That's how it was back in my day.
Oh my God! See, I'm lucky. I grew up around rich kids, and so we didn't. If somebody showed up at a party with and back in the old days, it was called Mad Dog 2020. Now it's MD 2020. They changed up the labels and it's MD 2020. So it kind of tonied up the language here. I want to say that they might have done the same thing with Night Train, but for me, I mean, the people out there might remember that as the worst drunk they've ever had. You know, the one night where they woke up the next morning covered in their own vomit in somebody's front yard.
The only time I found one worse was Southern Comfort.
Oh, yeah, Southern Comfort.
That sweet stuff will kill you, man.
Annie Green Springs. Smug Wimp says once a dose of Annie Green Springs. Yeah, let's not go down that road. Like I said, I grew up with some rich kids, rather Tony parties that we used to run around at, and it was one of those deals where you walked in and they'd stolen stuff from their mom and dad's liquor cabinet, so we were drinking the good stuff back in those days. 8:25. You know what? While I'm thinking about it, just as an aside here, is it me or are we flavoring up our liquor a lot? I had a little get-together with the boys on Sunday over at the house, and somebody brought over a thing of Captain Morgan's rum. But it was flavored.
Is it spiced?
I think it was spiced. Yeah. So I can't remember where I was, but there was another place where somebody was running around. I mean, they've been changing the flavors of vodkas for years, but all kinds of other things now are getting kind of fruity flavored
like
treatment.
Apple whiskey and
apple
stuff.
whiskeys and things like that. Is that, Mark, in your mind, is that against God's plan? Should we find a way to?
No, we're just trying to reach out to more people.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to, make it more appealing to a younger crowd, I guess. I mean, personally, me, I don't care. I quit drinking years ago.
Oh, did you? That's why there's always more for me. It's 8:25. Mark Colby's been watching the under-15 action over at the baseball field. In fact, he's been calling the action over at the baseball field yesterday. It was a big day for New Zealand, in play action that took place yesterday. Tell me the story.
All right, so in the first game of the day, it was Guam beating New Zealand on a mercy rule 14-4. Winning pitcher was Nolan Babauta. He had 3 Ks. The loss went to Leno Easthope. He had a strikeout. For Team Guam, John Salas, he went 2 for 4 at bat, scoring 3 runs, had 3 RBIs with a double and a triple. In the afternoon game, it was 18-1 New Zealand over CNMI, another 10-run rule. The winning pitcher was Joseph Yamamoto with 3 Ks. The loss went to Jayon Sablon with 1 strikeout. For New Zealand, Zach Smith was 2 for 2 at bat with 2 runs, 2 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases. So after day 1, Team Guam 1-0, New Zealand 1-1, and CNMI 0-1. Today,
CNMI playing today, right?
Yes, everything starts at 12 noon. Guam versus CNMI. And then at 3 p.m., it'll be Guam versus New Zealand. So, yeah, like we were talking yesterday, everybody's got a doubleheader. Yesterday was New Zealand. Today it's Guam. Tomorrow, CNMI will have doubleheader day.
All right, gotcha. 8:27, just swing by there. So if you want to watch some Guam action, again, that's going to be taking place today at noon.
Yep, that's right. Game time at 12 noon.
Got it.
Thank
That's
you,
it.
sir.
No, not a problem. That's my buddy Mark Colby. And let me check with Michael Knight, see if he was able to scrounge up any local sports. What do you say?
No, nothing's really happening but baseball. That's all they got going on right
we
now.
do have. There is the baseball, and I want to say that there's a couple of other things. It might be fun to swing by over at the Leo Palace and see what's going on. The Japanese women's national sevens rugby team is doing their training here on Guam because Guam is awesome. Right, and the facilities they've got over at Leo are awesome as well. Back page of the Guam Daily Post has got some interesting artwork of the ladies out there doing their routines. Anyway, so 8:27 in the morning, and if we don't talk about sports here, there might be a couple of other things that we can yak about. Boone's Farm and Annie Green Springs, and as far as I'm concerned, and there might still be a couple of guys alive from back in the day when my friend Russell went to the States, I don't know, convention or seminar or something like that, and came back with a bottle of a substance called Jeremiah weed. And there might be people listening right now that maybe in the mainland or maybe are familiar with the product Jeremiah weed, and me and the guys, Russell and some of the other guys, cable guys, were running around one night with a bottle of that Jeremiah weed stuff, and there's every single one of us that has a story about some kind of episode, some kind of mad episode that took place. There was one guy, I'm not going to mention his name, but there was something about it just make you psychotic, right? When you drink this stuff, wow. And there was one guy tore apart one of these cabinets, one of these kitchen cabinets. He just went.
Do they appreciate Valentine's?
I don't know. I can, there's a guy I want to ask.
Well,
He's
you're
gay.
a guy.
I'd ask him.
You're a guy. I'm asking you. Do you appreciate Valentine's, or do you think it's for girls?
In 56 Valentines in my life, I don't ever remember getting a Valentine thing. I don't remember, anybody sending me flowers or taking me out to dinner or sending me cards and things like that. It might have happened, and I just don't remember. I've shut it out of my mind. But I don't think it has ever happened to me. So,
do you appreciate Valentine's?
Michael Knight, are you big? Are you a big Valentine guy?
Or is it just for girls?
Pretty much for girls.
Yeah.
I mean, I do my part for those that I'm with, but it's really no big deal.
So if you're a guy, you definitely don't want the dozen roses to be.
He clearly hates the concept of Valentine's. 969-2652. Now, that's a phone number you can use for reservations right now. It's Mescla. And I'm just saying it because it's the first thing that popped into my head. Call that number, 969-2652. Call Mescla and make a reservation for Valentine's. Now, it doesn't have to be at Mescla. I want you to eat there. They've got good food. It doesn't have to be there. Something else. You might get a better offer. You might, hey, honey, we're going to go eat at Mescla on Valentine's. And she'll say, oh, I was hoping we could go to XYZ. But at least you've made the reservations, right? And that's the thing. That's the thing that's going to push you head, neck, and shoulders above anybody.
Valentine's is on a Friday.
It's a Friday, guys. That's the thing. Now, the reason why I bring it up is there's one of these stupid from the States, weird stories. Valentine's Day trees are a thing now. It's weird. Leave the Christmas tree up and keep that up until February. According to Google Trends, which apparently actually exists, searches for Valentine's trees are up 88% over the last few years. And if you scroll through Instagram, people are actually putting up pink and red Valentine Day trees. There's another $100, guys. Sorry, I don't know what they are. I'll see if I can find one of those stories. There's another story. And you remember a few months ago everybody was ogling. There was one of these internet trends where you put in your birthday into Google and you type in the words Florida man, and what Google would come back with was a story about some crazy thing that a Florida man did on your birthday.
Oh, I never heard that.
Yeah, and if you've had your birthday in the last couple of days, you can expect to hear about this story. A Florida man has been arrested for hanging from a traffic light and pooping on cars.
Uh-oh. Classy guy.
I know what you're thinking. Ray, you're on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, thepoint.gu. This story is useless without artwork. Tell me that there is something here that we might be able to put online that has got pictures and imagery that we can look at that will tell the rest of the story. And any other time I'd be able to scare the thing up, but unfortunately I'm unable to do it. Right? Can't. For some, my gizmo is a little bit frozen right now. Or is it? Let me see. It's just the one that I'm looking at. Stand by one. Is that the picture of the guy? No, that's not the picture of the guy. There. Oh, drat, I had it, but I don't have it now. I tell you what, after the headlines, I'll come back with an interesting picture of the guy that was arrested in Florida for hanging from a traffic light and pooping on people's cars. It's 8:33 in the morning, and we'll be right back with headlines.
From the start of the NFL football season, Point listeners have gotten together in friendly competition to battle it out in the Points NFL Pick'em contest. Along with weekly winners picking up great prizes, we have also awarded our grand prize winner, Art Hammeister. Art correctly guessed 170 picks. Wow. Good enough for him to win a new iPhone from GTA. Congratulations, Art. Thanks to all who participated in the Points NFL Pick'em contest. Brought to you by Current Guam with special thanks to GTA.
You're sitting around going, come on, Ray, spill the beans. Tell me exactly what's going on. Make sure that guy's picture gets up there. And I promise you, I will here in just a couple of minutes. It's 8:34 in the morning, and now with her last look at headlines from the Guam Daily Post, here is Mana Silva Tyron.
A public hearing today on 6 bills that deal with public safety. The hearing by Senator Therese Terlahi. The bills address the maximum and minimum sentencing guidelines for people convicted on charges that range from robbery, criminal sexual conduct, and crimes against tourists, and a bill that would deal with the pretrial release of people arrested on similar charges. That hearing starts at 1 o'clock at the legislature. The Power Utility's latest initiative to procure another utility-scale renewable energy power plant appears to have been stalled as the Office of Public Accountability oversees a protest filed by one of the interested companies. The procurement is the third phase in a series of renewable energy projects by GPA. GlidePath Mariana says that the company which won the contract didn't comply with bid requirements. And a police officer arrested after drunk driving a couple of years ago was spared jail time, but will have to serve a year of probation. Dax Santos was charged with driving drunk in an unmarked police car and then crashing it into another car at the Kmart intersection. The accident injured a family of 5. He was initially placed on administrative leave, but GPD isn't saying what other administrative action was taken against him. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, you can pick up a copy of the paper, log on to their website at postguam.com.
While you're scrolling around on the internet looking for those Valentine's trees, because if it's not complete, if this is not a complete Valentine for her, forget it. Just call your lawyer now, because she's already on the phone with you, Ariel. Just saying. 8:35 in the morning. And I promised I'd get this on. Florida man arrested for hanging from a traffic light and pooping on the cars below. That's got to take some degree of dexterity and control of certain muscles that I don't want to talk about on the radio. And you might be wondering what this handsome devil might look like, huh? There, if you're watching Facebook Live, YouTube Live, there it is. That looks like, that's a typical Florida guy, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not one to make fun of people's skin conditions, but it's either that or he got a whole bunch of it on him.
Might he found a way to poop upside down. I don't know. And the other thing about it is, you look at the picture, and unfortunately, he's got his mouth closed. Because I'll make a bet with you that he's probably got less teeth in his head than I. Yeah, exactly. It's 8:36 in the morning, and this is why we tell the kids to stay in school. iConnect time is 8:36. Call iConnect and ask them about saving some money on mobile, internet, and push-to-talk plans.
Cocoa Coffee Company is now available at Circle K. Single origin coffee beans carefully sourced and locally roasted to give you the freshest cup of coffee Guam has to offer. Grab a cup that's brewed every 30 minutes or purchase a bag of the locally roasted whole beans. Flavors now serving: light medium roasted Ethiopia and medium dark roasted Jamaican Blue Mountain. Exclusively available at Circle K. With every Cocoa Coffee Company purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Cocoa Recovery Program.
And now they have the hot and spicy spam musubi with red rice. I mean, spam musubi, period. Ask, where's Wen-Wen? Wen-Wen will tell you. Spam musubi by itself is awesome. And then you make it hot and spicy, and then you put it on red rice. See, that's the difference. That's the distinction. This is red rice with the spam on the top of it, and it is Chamorro-style hot. So you're going to want to try that when you go by 76 Circle K. 8:37 in the morning. Portions of the program here brought to you by my friends over at Wendy's. Start 2020 fresh. They got the Wendy's salad there. They make that fresh every day. Set a goal to eat healthier and cleaner this year and feel healthy, too. Over 5 salads to choose from. My favorites, the classic Parmesan Caesar salad or the fruity apple pecan pie. Make mama proud. Eat your grains at Wendy's. Now that's better.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts. Brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
It is Lynn's birthday. Details coming up. What have I got for you in the traffic gizmo? Is there anything that's worth noting here? Traffic, Marine Corps Drive, going down Santos Hill is kind of crazy. Maybe that Evaristo guy showed up again, but expect some delays if you are headed into Tumon on Santos Hill going down to the west. And also traffic coming in off Marine Corps Drive. It busies up like you wouldn't believe, starting at the Micronesia Mall, then southbound, and it doesn't clear up until you get past St. John's here, so expect some travel delays through there. 8, 10, and 16, still a little bit busy, but moving in the northbound direction. Traffic southbound on Route 8, things are going to busy up just before you get to the intersection with the McMobile and the one that takes you onto Teedson, as a matter of fact. Route 10, a little bit busy over at 10 and 15, as it usually is right now, and just basically intersection traffic between Route 4 and 10 all the way clear into the downtown Hagutnya area. Intersection over by the PD Cemetery is busy from Nimitz Towers all the way down in both directions, meeting up with southbound traffic on Marine Corps Drive that is moving slow. It'll slow up again at Polaris Point and, as usual, at Big Navy and Sumai. That's what we got for you. Real-life traffic, right now traffic on the point.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
got to get my hands on a piece of software called TikTok. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a whole bunch of videos, seeing videos on Facebook, and they're all basically like TikTok videos. It used to be some fun. Does it cost money? You got to pay for that in order to use it to its best. We can play the audio on this one. Keenan McCausland actually sent this one in, and I'd seen it before and agree it's probably one of the funnier TikToks that you're going to look at today.
That's it. Whoever guesses this wins the game. Here we go. Name Popeye's favorite food.
Chicken! Oh my God!
And she's
chicken!
Spinach, Jerry.
It's spinach. It's spinach. But it's so funny because she does that little,
she was so sure of
white girl
herself.
superiority
Oh, yeah.
dance. Ooh, look at me. It's a Popeye's chicken.
Cue the blonde jokes.
Yeah, and that reminds me, ladies and gentlemen, the next time you're in the area, and we have this conversation, as I said earlier, the name of the program today is Fluffy Biscuits, and that is in honor of one of my favorite items that you can get when you shop over at KFC. And the people at KFC know I've got a thing for Popeye's chicken, and every once in a while somebody will ask, well, you shouldn't talk about Popeyes if KFC is the advertiser. I said, there's a very significant difference. KFC, 11 herbs and spices, and a wonderful flavor, but Popeyes is a Cajun style. They've got Cajun style fried chicken down there. So as far as I'm concerned, they're not even in the same competitive environment as the crow flies.
You're right, though. In a lot of ways, you're absolutely correct.
Okay, 888-8255, 888-TALK is the telephone number. I don't know, something like 20 minutes from now, we'll be talking with folks over at from Guam Regional Medical City. I've got orthopedic surgeons and the like that are going to be in the studio. And it'll be interesting, at least to me. I've never broken a bone. In my life, I've had fractures of one kind or another. I don't know any little boys that have, but I've never actually broken. I've had a broken heart, but I don't know that the orthopedic guys. So we'll learn a little bit more about that. And since I don't know, and the only time I've ever even used the word orthopedic in my life was when I was a kid. I'm flat-footed. And anybody that has seen my feet, walking from something wet onto a pavement, or watched me walk behind me at the beach, to tell you I have flat feet, which was one of those things in the 60s. They believed that they could cure by putting orthopedic pads into the shoes. And unfortunately, in the 1960s, when I was growing up, and the doctor told my mom that I was flat-footed and I needed to have these insoles, these inserts put into my shoes. The only place where you could get those kinds of inserts was Family Shoe Store, which is now, they've got the Bank of Guam is on the property that Family Shoe Store was in. And back in those days, they sold a brand called Edwards shoes, which were nice shoes if you were going to church. If you were an altar boy and you were going to church, those were the shoes that you wore, these Edwards shoes. But if you're just a little kid running around and going to school every day, you didn't want to wear church shoes to school.
No, because then you kind of look like Forrest Gump.
I wanted to wear rubber shoes, but they didn't put the inserts in rubber shoes. They did not put those into the original Chuck Taylor Converse All-Stars, the rubber shoes that we all grew up with. They only got in there in the Edwards shoes. So as a consequence of that, when it came down to little kids playing sports in the field and basketball and that kind of thing, I couldn't compete with everybody else because I had these very, very stiff. They were stiff to begin with, Edwards shoes, made even stiffer because they had these inserts in them. So if you can imagine Frankenstein's monster trying to get a run in, that's what it looked like with these shoes, because they did not, like ski shoes, they just no bend on them whatsoever. Yeah, I want you to feel sorry for me because I had to put up with that crap when I was growing up as a kid, and it stunted my athletic growth. I tell you what. 8:44 in the morning. Anyway, these guys are going to come in and we'll talk about those kinds of orthopedics and orthopedic issues as well. You got the telephone number, you got the WhatsApp. Send me whatever it is that you got that is going to be fun or otherwise entertaining. Look, even if it's only entertaining to me, that'd be fine. Hey, Audrey June is online this morning. What was that? Keenan McCausland talking about my favorite crown. But now they have a peach. There, her favorite. I was talking about Crown Royal, and they've got different flavors now. And she says, Keena says, her favorite Crown Royal was the apple flavored one.
It is really good. No, my next door neighbor and I had a little bit of that on New Year's Day.
Did you?
It's quite delicious.
Okay, and now apparently there is a peach flavored one. Now this have you seen a peach flavored one?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, no. So this could be another one of those things where she sends us pictures or tells us about things that are available at her Walmart that aren't going to ever never be available here on Guam. What, you got some fancy new Doritos chips and that kind of thing? Wonderful. I love that. But at the end of the day, we don't generally get those.
Yeah, but here on Guam, dude, we get hot and spicy Spam red rice musubi.
Yes.
They don't get that at Walmart in Laredo.
Never. Tony D'Angelo's online. Kenny Williams talking about Apple Crown Royal. And I might be able to actually say this on the radio as it relates to this. Kenny Williams says Apple Crown Royal is wrong as nipples on a hay baler. And not being a hillbilly myself, I don't know what he's referring to. Do you want to? No, okay.
That one's kind of a stretch for me, too, but I think it's, a little bit.
Boris Hertzlet's there. I got Jody Duenas, Daryl Lizama is checking us out, wanting to make sure that we're talking about his clients' new big deal. Smug is online. Margaret Bloss. Am I the only one watching The Point, but its voice is coming from both talk shows? Please tell me it's not me going nuts. Margaret, what you might want to do is restart your browser or something like that. Every once in a while, something will come up. Lynn Paris saying, it's today, Ray. Thanks, thanks, Ray and Mana. Yeah, just wondering. It's one of those things that we keep track of. She is not the only one from around these parts that is celebrating a birthday. And I know you're going, Ray, you're going to get around to talking about some issues? Yeah, I might do that. But because there's a new press release. No, it's a letter that came out of Tina Rose Munya Barnes' office talking about war claims. What is it? Well, just sit tight. I'll get around to that in a second. But let me just jump back to Facebook and see who else has got a birthday today in the program. Like I said, my friend Lynn has got a birthday. And another name that you might recognize from Once Upon a Time, Harry Conception. Harry Conception did news at Guam Cable TV, I want to say late 70s, maybe early 80s or something like that. He's still around. I don't think he's been in the media for a while, but old-timers don't go through Nevada, don't go through Las Vegas, Nevada without running into Harry and saying hello and happy birthday if you're going to be in that area. Oh, my God, Harry is turning 70. That's crazy. We were just kids when we were messing around at KUAM and cable TV, right? Who else is there? Shelia Bodner, who doesn't live here anymore, but folks over at Take Care will remember the name from when she was working there. Nita Sablana's got a birthday, and there's Lynn celebrating her birthday. You know, this is amazing. And I don't know if you want to do something about it, but Lynn, it's actually reporting on Facebook Live your actual age. So you might want to see if you can find a way to get some kind of a filter on that. 8:48 in the morning, and there's Paris Mendiola and Lynn and Ryan and all kinds of other people that are hanging out with us this morning. They have it in Vancouver Walmart. Yeah, that's what I said. And Nate Horn. Oh, yeah. John LG, Audrey June, and Nate Horn saying not alcohol related, but I miss New York Seltzer. You know what? I remember New York Seltzer. It was Albert Perez from over at Topsy's that first brought the seltzer to Guam. And the crazy thing about it, you'll recall, there was a time where it was on vogue, if you will, to have clear products, right? They had you could buy Pepsi Clear. I think 7-Up had always been clear, but I mean you could get all kinds of sodas that came clear. But the New York Seltzer was clear to start with. That wasn't a promotional stunt. That wasn't some kind of trend or gimmick or anything. It was clear. And it was so crazy. I remember when Albert would bring it by the radio station, he'd bring back, all kinds of sample packs of the different flavors of New York Seltzer that they have. And it was one of those things because your eyes see this clear liquid, but you have no idea what's coming your way when it comes to the flavors. And my recollection is, and I almost killed it, I can taste it right now, they had a New York Seltzer root beer. Ooh. That was, oh my God. You pop one of these things, and normally you're taking a drink of something like that, especially carbonated liquids. You don't necessarily flush it down all at the same time. But New York Seltzer was one of those things. Came in, I want to say, an 8-ounce bottle, and it was about the easiest thing in the world to tilt your head back, and then all of a sudden, bam, and have the whole thing. Never did get around to mix it. You might still find it if you look around. There might be somebody that might be distributing. You know who to talk to? run back up your list and see if you can tag Dennis Bensour and see if maybe they're selling New York Seltzer on base. You might be able to find some there. Anyway, 10 away from the top of the hour. There's a bunch of other stuff on the table of contents that I have not necessarily had a chance to talk about. Press release from the Department of Labor. January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking and National Stalking Prevention and Awareness Month. It's a mouthful, and there's going to be a whole lot going on. There is a wave this afternoon at 5. I'm telling you now. If you are one of those people that is a supporter of all of these different causes, well, you know where you're supposed to be. At 5 o'clock this afternoon, Chamorro Village, there's going to be a wave. If you are just going to be driving around there, I'm going to let you know right now, 5 o'clock traffic, 6 o'clock traffic is going to be crazy because they're going to have a wave. B, it's Wednesday night market over at Chamorro Village. And C, there's all kinds of bars and restaurants in the downtown Agutnia area now, and I think, it's getting to be, that's one of those places where just everybody seems to be going these days. I don't know about you, but for the first time in a while, walked into Moses last night. I wanted to meet up with somebody. Walked into Moses, and there was one chair left. The place was packed. 5:59, right? And the place was, and I'm not just talking about the bar. I mean, the entire restaurant was full up with people. That's why now you see them spilling out practically onto the streets. They've got some sidewalk eating that you can do there. So it's going to be busy. Is my point when you get into town here tonight. A little bit busier than normal. There, folks over at the Department of Labor are getting involved in this because they've got some programs there. That they believe can help out. Department of Labor wants to inform you of Fair Labor Standards law in place that provides job protection to victims of violence and their families to aid them in seeking the help and treatment necessary for recovery. It is the Employment Leave for Victims of Violence Act, and requires employers to grant reasonable leave from work for an employee to prepare for and attend court proceedings, to receive medical treatment, and to obtain necessary services to remedy the crisis. The law applies to victims and their children, parents, and spouses. So victims of violent crimes, including domestic violence, assault, sexual assault, stalking, or any act that would support an order for protection. We've got, in this town, I want to say a problem with stalking. And you hear about it every once in a while from somebody who says, oh, yeah, I friended so-and-so on Facebook. And then it was DMs, constant, consistent. Oh, my God, it keeps happening, the direct messages. And then pretty soon, somehow or another, so-and-so got my phone number, and now it's WhatsApps. And now I'm getting pictures. And, oh, by the way, I leave the office, and I have to have my friends walk me out because he's there in the car. He found out where I worked. This happens all the time. There's probably somebody that you are aware of, depending on the size of your office. There might be somebody that is a victim of stalking right now. And it's nice to know that these are in place. Now, they're also going to be, in addition to the wave today, I think that's kind of a kickoff. The press release from the Department of Labor is also part of it. But there is going to be a get-together this weekend over at the Micronesia Mall. I think I've got the paperwork on that as well. I'll share with you the times. But I think it's going to be Saturday over at the Micronesia Mall where they will have all of the resources that they can share with you to stay on top of all of this stuff. 888-8255-888-TALK. And it was 8:53 or something like that in the morning. There's a bunch of stories, and if we're lucky, we might be able to scrounge up Nick Delgado from the Guam Daily Post. All right, so we are lucky because there's just all kinds of stories here, and I don't know to what degree Nick will put things together. Some of the more interesting stories and a front page full of stories about guys that did something wrong, pled guilty, but still managed to avoid jail time. Which is among the things I think people are getting frustrated about. So we go from those stories on the court beat to a public hearing that's going to take place at the legislature today. Good morning, Nick. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. Happy New Year, Ray.
Happy New Year. My God, have we not seen each other in the last 2 weeks?
It hasn't. It's already been quite a busy year for everyone.
Oh, yeah, to be sure. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that is coming to the fore over at the courthouse. We got the cop that pled guilty on a drunk driving charge, and he's managing to avoid jail. And then we've got another DOC guard pled guilty for his role in some of the contraband smuggling into the prison, and he miraculously also avoids jail time.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's right. And
I was going to say, what's the sentiment of people? And I don't know that the in one case we've got victims of the crime. How did they feel when they heard that the guilty plea had been and the guilty plea and the plea settlement had been accepted by the court?
Well, of course, the victims in that incident with Guam police officer Dennis Santos weren't too happy with the outcome, but they had to give their full support to the plea before the judge accepted it. And the thing that made the victims accept it is that the restitution would move forward and that they would get the compensation for their injuries, for the damages that happened to them. And we're talking about to 3 children, the youngest being 4 years old at the time, that was inside the vehicle that was involved in that accident. And so the father, who was at the court hearing yesterday, pretty much wanted to express that he wanted to get all of this behind him and have him and his family move forward with their lives and let the deal happen.
I got you. So the part of it that they support was the restitution angle, and I want to say that's what is it, $12,000 or something like that in restitution?
More than $12,000.
Yeah, that needs to get paid back to the family. Absent that, though, if that had not been a part of the plea deal, do you suppose that they would have pushed for actual jail time?
Most definitely. We had in our archives with the Post, we had spoken to the father, Mr. Hawkins, previously, prior to any deal being cut with the prosecution, and he wanted to take legal action, understandably, and seek that monetary relief for him and his family. So he could have gone either way, but of course he was satisfied with just the fact that he can move forward with him and his family in this case.
I got you. And the latest information on the drowning at GICC, there was a video that was widely circulated here on Guam, and I think there's a ton of folks, it's certainly in the journalistic community, that want to know more about that story. How did 2 people end up in that water hazard?
Yeah, quite the mystery for many, and of course the authorities not yet releasing much details about that, but we did confirm yesterday late afternoon with the Guam Police Department with Sergeant Paul Tapal that the 2 who were recovered from the lake there are from Japan. They are working with the Japan Consulate Office. I spoke to the Deputy General at the Japan Consulate Office yesterday, and he unfortunately couldn't release any information as they're working to reach out to the family and find out more answers. We are also waiting for the autopsy. Of course, police have classified that as a drowning, but they are not saying just yet their cause of death until that.
Yeah, go ahead. And the problem there that is compounded by the fact that we don't have a permanent ME here on Guam.
Time and time again, for each of these cases where we're seeing just a body recovered or just a tragic incident.
Yeah, we got to get around that. I know it's John O'Connor's story, but you guys are share desk space over at the Post. Very, very interesting the conclusion to the SHPO case. Linda Uggan has won with the Civil Service Commission and could be due for reinstatement and back pay in there.
And back pay.
Yeah. Now the question that we're all beginning to ask ourselves here is, but she was replaced. Patrick Lujan replaced her as the historic preservation officer here on Guam. What happens next?
Yeah, and that would be the question for Parks and Rec and probably even the administration to respond to, of whether or not she would be reinstated, how soon she would be reinstated, and we're just waiting to see whether or not the government will take this case and the decision for the Civil Service Commission to local court.
Yeah, well, what's going to happen with Patrick?
He would. That's the mystery. That's the answer that we're all waiting to hear.
Yeah. Well, the other questions are that I'm sure that you're also familiar with because you've been covering the case since he was actually put in the slam is the Mayor Bloss's case and the new wrinkle there. We'd actually called to see if we could get some information on it, and as it turns out, he was actually working towards some kind of resolution on the leadership for Zonia. Looks like Mayor Bloss has identified a few people he wants on the Municipal Planning Council, but again, shrouded in secrecy. We don't know who these candidates are.
Yeah, and that's something that I thought was very interesting, but we're hearing from one report that he had made this decision prior to his indictment coming down, prior to his detainment over the Department of Corrections. And then we're hearing on the other hand that, this is the list that he provided to the mayor's council through his attorney from prison.
Yep.
But that until these people accept or decline, we can't know their names.
Yeah, well, that's odd, hearing that he had actually had the paperwork taken care of or identified these guys before he got in the clink, because it could have saved people a whole lot of time and trouble if he had that in place earlier. I mean, he could have forwarded the names for consideration the day after he got arrested. Crazy story. Nick, I'm out of time here. I'll talk to you pretty soon, buddy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Ray.
We're KUSG Agania. This is The Point.
Fuel on a school playground. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. It happened in Southern California with more than a dozen children needing medical attention. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has more live.
Lisa, LA County Fire Department Inspector Sean Ferguson says they responded to Parkview Elementary in Cudahy in South Los Angeles and treated 20 children and 11 adults.
They were all evaluated for minor skin irritation as a result of jet fuel being dumped over the playground at the elementary school.
Ferguson said no one had to be taken to a hospital. However, they did have to decontaminate everyone impacted before they were released. Delta issued a statement saying a flight headed from LA to Shanghai had to return to the airport due to an engine problem and landed safely after an emergency fuel release to reduce landing weight. Lisa.
Jessica, tomorrow is the day the Senate will get the articles of impeachment. Fox's Jared Halpern live on Capitol Hill.
Just the third impeachment trial of a president in U.S. history will likely begin next week. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says senators could be sworn in as jurors later this week.
There is little or no sentiment in the Republican conference for a motion to dismiss. Our members feel that we have an obligation to listen to the arguments.
McConnell says the Senate will also, after hearing arguments and asking questions, consider additional witnesses and documents. Democrats have been pressuring a handful of Republicans to support requests to hear from at least 4 witnesses, including former National Security Advisor John Bolton. Lisa.
Jared, but it's business as usual for the president holding a rally tonight in Wisconsin.
President Trump is set to begin speaking just 1 hour before tonight's Democratic debate, so expect that to be a very big focus tonight. Bernie Sanders in particular, because the Trump campaign now believes that Bernie Sanders is the indisputable frontrunner.
Fox's Kristen Fisher in Milwaukee. America is listening. Fox News.
If you've ever struggled for breath, you know what a scary experience it is. Whether you have asthma, emphysema, COPD, lung cancer, or another respiratory illness, the right medical treatment makes all the difference. GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic has the latest technology and respiratory equipment, staffed by world-class pulmonologists. Make an appointment today with GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic and start breathing easier. GRMC, where patients are partners.
It's hard to believe, but Security Title is 20 years old. Reaching this milestone is a clear testament to the hard work of our employees, who are as passionate about our work as we are about our community. We are most grateful for the realtors, lenders, attorneys, investors, and the buyers and sellers we serve. They are the reason our doors have been open for 20 years. Security Title looks back with gratitude for the past 20 years and looks forward with optimism to the next 20. Thank you, Guam.
The last debate before the Iowa caucuses will get underway in Des Moines in less than 3 hours.
The stage is set here at Des Moines Drake University, where 6 of 12 remaining candidates have met polling or funding thresholds to be able to be on stage tonight, amid some infighting and accusations from Elizabeth Warren's camp that Bernie Sanders told her that a woman can't win.
We'll have differences on issues. That's what campaign is about. But no one is going to be attacking Elizabeth.
Warren fundraising off the feud. Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg also considered part of the top 4 headed into the Iowa caucus. In Des Moines, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Boeing orders have fallen to their lowest level since 2003, and the company says cancellations are outnumbering sales. American Airlines is taking the MAX out of its schedule for 2 more months until early June and canceling thousands more flights. Jeopardy issuing an apology over a question about the location of the Church of the Nativity.
Asking contestants to name the location of the church, the Bethlehem Basilica. Returning champ Katie Needle answered, "What is Palestine?" But Trebek said, "Incorrect. awarding the winning answer to another contestant who responded with "What is Israel?" The result lit up social media with calls on the show to issue a correction. Sony Television issued a statement saying they apologized for the mix-up and clarified that an uncorrected version of the game was broadcast due to a human error, calling the question flawed as written. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
Breakthrough singer Billie Eilish singing the theme for the upcoming James Bond film, becoming the youngest artist to write and record a song for the film franchise. Eilish, who turned 18 just last month, recorded the song for No Time to Die, which debuts in theaters in April. The song has no release date yet. Eilish is up for 6 Grammy Awards. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
The balanced lifestyle. Take Care Insurance offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage individuals and families to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing and unwinding, and being socially connected. They have the island's largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs for all ages. Join the movement. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram or visit takecareasia.com to learn more.
Is it my turn to talk? I was asking these people, because they're all from the Philippines, I was asking them about what's going on with their families and the eruption of Taal. More on that in a minute. Value meals for value deals like the pancake puppies. I'm talking about Denny's. Now, pancake puppies, spam sandwich, French toast slams, classic burgers, loaded chicken skillets, loco moco, and plenty more. And it ain't going to cost you a lot of money. Don't break the bank. Take the family for dinner tonight over at Denny's. Portions of the Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by American President Lines, APL Global Presence with a local home.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Morning talk that matters.
So one more hour of the Ray Gibson Show, and I can tell you exactly the first thing that I'm going to do as soon as the microphones are off and the cameras are off is I'm going to go and bite right through this. We got this from 76 Circle K. I believe today they're debuting a brand new product that you can get when you go. They sell gas, by the way, as in addition to food. They sell hot and spicy Spam red rice musubi. I don't know if you maybe you've had this in your head about different ways to do it. I like Spam musubi. I'm a big fan. There used to be, and Charlie might remember this, over at the Hotel Nico, they used to, in the Japanese place, they used to have Spam sushi. And it was at and I was at the time I was working in Agania, and it was always one of those things like I got to get in a car and drive like a maniac all the way down to Nico and get my hands on some of this spam. And it was so popular they had to discontinue it. apparently nobody was eating anything else on the menu. They're just going in there for the Spam sushi. Anyway, Ray Gibson Show. You can hear the room begin to open up a little bit more on your speakers, and the reason why is I got folks in the studio as usual around this time. It's the Guam Regional Medical City. Our partners in healthcare, and that's the name of the segment of the program that we're about to launch into here with 1, 2, 3, 4 mic video positions, and we'll kind of go around the room and say hello to everybody. And I think we're going to start with age. I think I'm the oldest, so good morning. My name is Ray Gibson, followed by Dr. Carmelino Galan. Good morning. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. Get right up close to that microphone. Say hi to everybody, and we'll ask you the basic questions. What the heck does an orthopedic surgeon do that nobody else in the hospital can do? So we'll talk about that. And then we've got another orthopedic technician, Manny De La Paz, and they tell me that your nickname over at GRMC is Handy Manny.
Yes, that's correct.
You're going to tell me a little bit later on how you got that particular tag, and nothing happens without other assistants and folks in the at GRMC, medical assistants in the orthopedics department. I have Roseanne Tabata, and there's also Ann Gutierrez. Good morning. Welcome to which one is which? Which one? Roseanne, and you're Ann. Leanne. Okay, well, welcome. I'm sorry. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. Great to have you guys in here. Now, we were talking originally before the break about the current events in the Philippines, and some really interesting things happening with the Taal volcano going up. I've got friends and family out there, and just it's amazing because we've got the ashfall now in Manila, right? So I mean, you walk down the streets and there's ash all over the place. And another friend of mine, I think you guys know her, Marilu
persimmon, so she's sending me now. Apparently, one of the things they're doing is they're gathering up all of the ash and turning it into like concrete blocks. Yeah, that's what I said, and I'm like, Mike, can you look that up for me? The ashfall cinder blocks, whether or not those things are as strong as say concrete and cement. I don't know, but the Marlu said, yeah, those things are apparently very, very kind of strong. So nice, we got common friends, right? Anyway, so now your family, Leanne, is they're volunteering, right?
Yeah, pretty much their company. My auntie owns the company, so they're pretty much doing the.
Is it just like cleanup and that kind of thing?
No, they're giving out foods, release for for people that needs water, foods, or whatever.
Boy, there's got to be a lot of demand on that. I've been to Manila, and there's places there.
I think there's lack of water.
Yeah.
Majority of it's the water.
So the other thing I'm told is that they're having a hard time with is something that you guys go through all the time over at the hospitals, that surgical masks to be able to keep the ashfall out. They're having a hard time keeping that, and they're going to find some water, put it in a towel, and cover that cover your face with it and try to breathe through it. It's, as we've said before, it's not the same kind of ash like you'd find in an ashtray with a cigar in it, or the kind of ash that you get after a grass fire or something like that. These are actually fine particles of glass that are floating around in the atmosphere, and you're not supposed to breathe it. Earlier today is another picture that I got from Marlu, and it's an image of a woman with a severe a gash in her eye. People are beginning to report that now. They're walking through the ash, and the glass is literally cutting their eyes. So it's just crazy what's going on out there. Certainly a nuisance and an inconvenience, and anybody that's tried to do any traveling in the last 72 hours between here and Manila knows just how difficult that has been. So I imagine that all of the communications between Guam Regional Medical City and Medical City in the Philippines has all been done with WhatsApps and telecommunications, right? About that way, because nobody's getting on a plane. Dr. Carmelino Galang is an orthopedic surgeon at Guam Regional Medical City. And how long you been with the outfit?
This is my 4th year.
Okay. So been since about day one then with GRMC.
No. I came there 6 months after they opened.
I got you. And now, I had been in the hospital before and had seen some of the surgical suites, so I'm sure that you're highly appreciative of the work that went into the design and the construction of the surgical suites that you guys work in.
Yeah, we have about 7 surgical suites right now.
Okay, and, so that's good. You'd be able to churn to get people in and out. Now, what does an orthopedic surgeon do? I mean, it sounds like a basic question, but I've never needed one, and the only time I was talking about on the radio before you guys got on, the only time that I'd ever pondered anything using the word orthopedic was when I was a little kid. I was flat-footed, and they made me wear ugly shoes with these inserts in them. They were orthopedic shoes, and I hated them. So I've kind of avoided the conversation all these. What's an orthopedic surgeon do?
Well, we treat any problems with bone and joints. From children to old age.
Okay, all right. So basically a bone doctor. So if I've never broken a bone in my life, which is I'm 57 years old. Knock on wood. Hopefully it doesn't happen. I might have had a couple of fractures or two, but no actual breaks or anything like that. So I've never actually needed to see an orthopedic surgeon. Tell me a little bit about some of the bone stories that you've got here on Guam and the joint stories that you've got here.
Of course we do a lot of fractures. That's basic stuff. Also, as you get older, you get arthritis, of course. We treat that too.
Now, okay. 57 birthdays. I'll be 58 on my next one. No, I got I got to drive by, right? I've got to drive by consult I can get. So every once in a while, the girls are laughing. Every once in a while, let's take for an example. I grab a water bottle, and sometimes the thing on a water bottle is easy to take off, and sometimes it's difficult. And I've discovered recently that it's beginning to get in the first and second knuckle of my hand. I begin to feel a little bit of pain when I'm struggling to open a bottle of water or a jar of pickles or something like that.
Yeah.
That's not arthritis, right?
That's part of it.
No, it's not. No, it isn't. No, I'm looking for good news. No, Ray. You just got there's a thing. You crack your knuckles too much, and that's why you've got that.
Well,
is that onset of arthritis?
Yes. As we get older, of course, there's wear and tear in the joints. And if you use it more, then they wear more.
Well, I don't open that many bottles of water. I'm a beer guy.
No. But that's the problem.
Actually, it's that same motion when you open a bottle of Budweiser and Bud Light. It's exactly the same thing. Use a can opener next time. That's save you.
A lot of people here, they jog us, all the marathons, and walkathons you do every weekend.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of patients with knee problems.
Huh. Okay. Well, yeah, marathon runner here going to be doing the half marathon coming up.
2K, 5K, and even old people, they do it. And, of course, they can't do it anymore.
Okay, so
tell point.
Yeah, but what's there's got to be, this is 2020. What's the miracle cure? No,
it's hard to say.
I've got a scalpel, Gibson. That's what your miracle cure is. That's okay, because now I'm in it. That's an interesting topic to me again as a runner, and somebody that we've all got joints one way or the other. And I guess as time goes by, you begin to lose some of the function, or the functions become.
You have to stay flexible, and your muscle has to stay very strong to minimize the pain.
Okay, so we've got
that means exercise.
Oh,
the right exercise.
So you're talking to the exercise guy. I'm a runner. I'm out there. I move weights around, that kind of thing, trying to keep myself as limber as possible while we do all of this stuff. And that will help by way of dealing with the pain, maybe. But will it mitigate?
Yes, it will mitigate it.
Okay, so there's mitigation.
Myself, I have arthritis in my knee, and I treat it with again. I tell my patient, stationary bicycle. They've heard that. I mean, every time I see them, knee problem, you do a stationary bicycle.
Interesting.
It helps.
Yeah.
Because it helps me, and
so
that's my.
Are there things that I can put in my diet?
It doesn't matter, the diet, as long as you don't get overweight.
Oh, well, I do try not to.
That's it. No,
I had pizza for dinner last night.
You have a gout problem.
If you want to get into the gout, because there's people that are listening that go, we got a doctor in there, ask him about gout. There's the two things. There's always ask him about gout, and then there's ask him about medicinal marijuana, and maybe the efficacy of medicinal marijuana in pain management for arthritis and big bone breaks, right? So I mean, maybe there could be some of that between now and the end of the program. So more on keep going. I'm going to go back to the arthritis question because so I take a fish oil supplement.
Okay.
Yeah, is that doing anything other than giving me?
There's no science in it. So
now, what about my old man had arthritis in the knees, and for many years he was able to go back and forth and get cortisone shots, and that helped with the pain. But then after a while, you couldn't take them anymore.
The cortisone shots is just a temporary thing.
Yeah, eventually it's no longer effective.
Yeah. Yes.
There was work being done years ago, and I don't remember what specifically that it was for, but it was for something with the joints, where they were taking from the rooster, the top of the rooster, they were able to spin out some kind of drug that helped with the pain and lubrication in these joints.
Yeah, it's still not. There's no scientific. Evidence in that yet.
But there are people that are still trying it, right?
Yes. Some reason people are helped by it, and some people are not. So it's just
like many forms of medication.
Yes, we call that herbal medication.
So if I was developing, say, arthritis in the knees, and define for me what arthritis is, so I know that I'm talking about the same things, and we can then move into the therapy that I wanted to discuss.
Well, the problem with arthritis is the lining of the joint. It has to be smooth and thick.
Yeah.
As we get older, it's not as smooth anymore.
Right.
And the thickness of the cartilage, I call, will wear out.
Interesting.
That's when you wear out that thin that cartilage, that's when you have a lot of pain.
Now, can I, obviously there's things like knee replacements, hip replacements, and things like that. So when the cartilage begins to wear away, I might be able to go see and say, Dr. Galan, could you do me a favor and take out the old knees and put in the new and improved?
Yes. That's the end game, I call it.
Now, is there still pain involved? Will I still have the mobility that I had prior? Is there a significant improvement?
Oh, yes. I consider call it about knee replacement or hip replacement. It's a pain procedure. A lot of my patients are helped by it.
And you can do that at Guam Regional Medical City?
You can do that there. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Do you have the parts? I mean, no, I got it. The technicians are laughing because they're going, it's like going to Napa. Yeah, I need a new pair of knees. Yeah, how do you fit somebody for that? I mean, if I went to you today and said, this knee is giving me a hard time, you said, we'll take out the old one and put the new one in. How do you?
We have a lot of sizes available.
It's like putting like shoes. Like you just say, this is.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated.
During surgery, we size it, and then we have different sizes. Then we put it in.
Unbelievable. So there's like a warehouse in the back with.
Yeah, we have a big tray. Lots of tray.
I'll be darned. So now, obviously, you don't do any of this alone. In addition to the technicians and folks that we've got here in the studio, what other doctors, what other specialists do you work with over at GRMC?
What I do is I usually have a team, that helps me.
Yeah.
A first assistant, and then the scrub nurse and the circulating nurse. That's all I have.
That's for your team, though. But do you work with other teams? I'm thinking there's great neurosurgeons and people that you work with over at GRMC.
It's a difficult case, then we collaborate.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not just bones in the knees and the hips and places like that. I mean, it could go all the way up the vertebra and the small bones in the neck.
We do have a spine surgeon,
which weren't hurting until I just started thinking about it. Now I'm thinking about I've got these bones in the neck, and I now want to crack my neck over and go off in this direction. So how much there's other fields obviously when we start talking about bones and muscles and things like that. How much is there a collaborative effort, say, between a surgeon like yourself and a chiropractor, as an example, somebody that can go in and say, here's the issues that we're seeing, and maybe you might be able to get some relief and possible correction if you go see a chiropractor.
Yes, we do.
So I guess my end goal would be that I don't want to be your customer. I don't want to get to a point, outside of an accident where I need that kind of...
A lot of my patients, they go to the chiropractor first, and then if it doesn't help, then they end up in my clinic.
Right.
That's the thing.
So, and tell me a little bit. Is there a reliance on significant imaging technology? I mean, and you guys have significant imaging technology, 100 slice toasters and things like that over at Guam Regional Medical City. So I could go on a complete imaging tour of GRMC and then have them send all the data to you.
Yes, we have an MRI and a CT scan. That's all I use a lot.
Right.
In my practice.
And still old-fashioned x-rays every once in a while?
Well, actually, I'm an old-fashioned guy. I rely on my x-ray first. When they get to me, they all have all this fancy stuff done. And I tell them, I can see your problem here in the plain x-ray.
Right.
So, anyway.
Absolutely fascinating. Dr. Now there's, when we start talking about bones and things, you know what, I'm reminded of something, and it's something we talked about not that long ago. I was asked by the bone marrow registry people. There was a possibility I was a match for somebody, and as it turns out, I was a match, but they've declined. They sent me a letter over the weekend and said, we're not going to be, you're off the hook, basically. The patient, there's reasons why. Either their situation got better or their situation got worse, or they're going to pursue another therapy. But in this particular case, for that particular patient, I'm no longer a candidate to help them out. And I'm really disappointed about all of that, because I was hoping that, number one, I might be able to save a life, and number two, it would have exposed me to a whole different level of doctoring out there. And being an orthopedic surgeon, you know about the value of the marrow and what it provides to the body. Have you done any of that kind of work, marrow harvesting? Or
I do bone grafts in bones.
Now I've heard that's another phrase that I've heard 1,000 times. Bone graft. I mean, I'm thinking in terms of gardening, where you take one slice of something and marry it up with a slice of something else, and then you make big mangoes.
You get a piece of bone somewhere in your body, or somebody else's bone, then you put it in where you need it.
And now, when would you use that procedure?
For example, if your fracture is not healing, you need to use it as a graft. And then, for example, you are missing a big chunk of bone.
Right.
Then you put it there. You replace it.
Now, and I am my own donor in that case?
You are, or somebody else.
Huh.
Yes.
So, but didn't that leave a gap someplace else in my body?
No.
No, it doesn't really. Yeah. Will it grow back on the other part?
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
If it will connect. It will connect.
Right. But I'm saying, so if I have a problem because I broke my bone over here, it's not healing properly, so we'll take it from the other arm. We'll graft it.
No, you don't want you want to get the other arm.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to jeopardize the other arm.
So where would you
get it for somebody else?
Oh, I see. So we'll jeopardize somebody else's arm.
Yeah. We have bone bank. You can get it from there what you want, and they'll give it to you. let's say I need this bone, they'll give it to you.
This is an eye opener. Number one, you get spare parts over at GRMC. There's actually a room with spare kneecaps and things like that. So if you go in there now, and this might come as a surprise to a lot of people that you can get that kind of surgery here. I think a lot of folks would go, that sounds like something that you'd need to get on a plane for and go to Medical City in Manila or maybe someplace in Hawaii or the States for that kind of care. And so I'm going to assume that the efficacy of that surgery here is very high. One of the reasons why...
excuse me, it's not done very often, though. But, we have to set it up.
Sure.
That's why...
But, maybe it's just a question of more and more people that need to recognize that they've got a problem and then go see their doctor and have the doctor say, go see Dr. Galang over at GRMC, and he'll pull out the old ones and give you, brand new chrome and glass. Now, do the new ones last as long as the one that you're born with?
They last about 15, 20 years.
Okay. And in a lot of cases, that might be the rest of somebody's life.
That's why we want to do it when they're a little older. Let's say you're 65. If you live to 80, then you probably won't need anything.
We got a big diabetes problem here on Guam. Right. Do you see the complications? Do you take care of those complications?
I see bad toes.
Yeah.
Bad, bad ankles.
Would you be the guy that? Would you be the guy that does the amputations in those cases?
I usually do. Yeah.
Ouch.
We do have podiatry too in the hospital.
See, there's a joke in my head saying that's where we get the spare parts. No. So we got that bone bank we were talking about. Yeah, no. This is a complete.
Those are infected.
You don't necessarily want this. A fascinating conversation about all of this. Now, I'm also a hiker. Yes, and when I'm on the trail and doing the hiking, one of the things I'm very concerned about is that every once in a while somebody says, "Oh, you need to go and jump off that waterfall over there," and I'm going, "No, I don't think I'm going to jump off the waterfall," because I know people that have jumped off the waterfall and ended up in a wheelchair for the rest of their life. So I'm not going to be doing anything like that. But I also know people that might have taken a spill on the trail and actually broken a bone. On a scale of it's just a fracture to wow, I need to get surgery done. What kind of injuries have you seen with bone breaks here on Guam?
Oh, I've seen a lot. The worst thing are the accidents, the car accidents.
A lot of forces,
impact, and but a lot of the minor ones. A lot of old people they fall and they break their hips.
Yeah,
a lot of times because their hips are fragile. So we do that. We see that a lot at GRMC.
You would think that once upon a time we'd evolve into a species as we live longer, where we get a little bit more density in the hip bones and they last a little bit longer. Why do they go brittle after a while?
Okay, because with the functioning system in the bone, there's a disconnect. The calcium doesn't get to your bone as you get older.
Oh.
I don't care how much calcium you take; it's not going to get into the bone. Because the mechanism is already not working anymore.
That sounds kind of grave because I take a supplement that has got some certain amount of calcium in it for exactly that reason, so I don't turn into a bent and broken old man.
There is some medicine that you take though for that. So there is some medication you take. To help that mechanism
to last a little bit longer. Work more efficiently. Yeah. So is there something that I should be doing now? At my age, maybe some younger listeners going, I don't want that to be me. Is there a supplement that I can take or an exercise that I can do just maintain?
Just stay active. That's really what you need.
Yeah.
Once you stay inactive, then that's when everything falls apart.
Do you see a lot of that? I want to call them green stick fractures, right? That's the one where the break is so bad that it actually pokes out of the skin.
No.
You don't get that too often.
Green stick is very I see some of that, but it's not seen very often.
Now, do the girls faint when somebody comes in with something like that?
Not really.
But I mean,
they're used to that.
Yeah, let me just spend a couple of minutes with the technicians around here and find out a little bit more of what they do. So, is this guy a slave driving boss? Is he one of those surgeons? He get a ding 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 like that? No. So how do you back these guys up? How do you back up Dr. Galang and Handy Manny here?
So me and Roseanne, we have our own tasks. I pretty much. We both take vitals, assist with procedures, but I do, one day she can be handling the referrals, I can be handling his surgery. So it's like a shared task for us.
So you hold kind of administrative positions as well as in the studio?
Yes.
Clinical positions?
Yes.
Is that common?
We've been doing it for so long.
Well, I guess the reason is, and I want to say that this sounds like it's very, very comforting to me because the same person that I'm talking to in the office is actually going to be in the room with me while I'm having some of these procedures done. So I mean, I think that makes me feel a little bit better because there's a continuity of the care with the team from actual sitting out, help you fill out the forms and the paperwork, and then into the actual operating room where the work gets done.
We don't usually. I think it's more of simple procedures were in the room, like cortisone injections or like staple removals. Those were in.
Okay, so you can stop right there. I'm sorry. He's talking about setting bones and doing surgery and all that stuff, and I'm cool with that because number one, I'm sure I would be out. I'm sure that somebody would give me something to breathe, count backwards from 100, and I'll see you guys when it's all done. But injections, you're talking about a cortisone injection. That's a needle about that long. Right? It's
not that long.
It's as thick as a number 2 pencil, and it goes directly into the bone, right?
It's not that long.
It's not that thick.
It's the tricky part.
Tell me. Okay, start with that cortisone injection. Tell me a little bit about what that's all about. And I'm getting sweaty palms just talking about it.
Because we don't go to the surgery with him.
Right.
We set that up. But for like minor procedures that's done outpatient, we can assist with that.
Right.
So for the cortisone injection, we just we set up the things that we need, and we assist Dr. Galang during the procedure.
Right, and so how? What do you use to calm down the patient when they see the? Because I'm sure you're putting it in the bone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Doc, when cortisone is cortisone, I don't
in the joint. Actually,
yeah, I don't want
to. We put some numbing medicine.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
that's
shot for the patient.
and then we use
Jameson.
Then we use a very small needle. It's
small
really
needle. Okay.
Almost painless, I think.
He says almost, and then the other word that she used. I don't know if you heard Leanne say the word staple removal.
Yes.
So why do we need to have staples in anywhere in my body? Why would I need that?
Well, after the procedures and the surgery with Dr. Galang, he usually staples the incision that he makes. And then you come to us after a few days.
Didn't they teach you how to sew in medical school? Yeah. We're using staples now.
Yeah, it's stapless.
It's staples.
It's faster.
It's actually very fun, but on the patient side, of course, they are scared.
Yeah.
So we're just taking, we just take it one by one, and they're like, "Are you counting?" We're like, "Yeah, we're on like 43."
But there's still the numbing agent though, right? There's still some that you put on that, so as you're actually ripping the staple from the skin. No.
No, we just clean it and then make sure it's sanitized before we actually do touch it, because you're introducing a foreign object into the incision, which is our staple remover. So we're just like, okay, casually.
Will I feel it? I mean, so I've already had the procedure and I've gotten whatever it is that he did.
It's like an ant bite.
Yeah.
It's like an ant bite.
This big.
It's a big ant. It looks like a Cocker Spaniel size ant, but it's this is some fun conversation. My producer is sending me into a break, and if you've got some questions that you want me to feel these guys out with on Facebook Live, just go ahead and write it up, and you can also send it on the WhatsApps 988-5874. That's 988-5874. This is one of those things that at some point where all of us, I got a feeling, going to have to deal with, and so it's nice to know that we can do this work here, and that we've got a team that considers it fun. And so we'll talk with this fun team more about the orthopedic surgeries and some of the other services available. We haven't even met Handy Mandy yet, so I'm sure there's a fun conversation about that. It's all ahead. Hey, swing by the nearest iConnect and ask them about saving some money for you. They've got plans on mobile internet, even push-to-talk plans at iConnect.
From the start of the NFL football season, Point listeners have gotten together in friendly competition to battle it out in the Points NFL Pick'em contest. Along with weekly winners picking up great prizes, we have also awarded our grand prize winner, Art Hameister. Art correctly guessed 170 picks. Wow. Good enough for him to win a new iPhone from GTA. Congratulations, Art. Thanks to all who participated in the Points NFL Pick'em contest. Brought to you by Current Guam, with special thanks to GTA.
you. Just a general commentary and thumbs up from a number of listeners watching the program tonight. Forrest Gump, yeah, that's me. Nate Horn asking about any new AFO prototypes. And I don't know what an AFO prototype is, so I'm not even sure if that's germane to this conversation. Mike, does that ring a bell? Does that mean anything to you?
Yes, Handy Manny.
Handy Manny. Well, all right, so the perfect segue to talk with Handy Manny is Manny De La Paz, orthopedic technician at the Guam Regional Medical City, in part of the orthopedic team that they have. And hopefully nobody breaks a bone, because I've got the best guys they've got here in the building right now. And before too much longer, we'll get you back to work. So, Handy Manny De La Paz, how did you get that handle there, Kuya?
Well, I have 28 years experience in States doing prosthetics and orthotics. So I'm mostly the senior head for the technician. I train people doing all these devices.
Nice. Oh, now, start with the prosthetics. And we'll begin the conversation there. Because I guess the goal is with many prosthetics, so that they're virtually undetectable, right? I mean, it's something that does not necessarily call attention to itself. What's the latest and greatest by way of prosthetic devices for some of the people that you see?
Well, they have plenty new design right now, but since we're in Guam, some of the old one that we use here.
Well, first of all, how do they work? I met a friend of mine, and he had a tricky episode, and unfortunately lost both of his arms, and has prosthetic devices attached to them, and he can clamp down on certain things, and he's one of a few guys hangs out with me in a bar. He actually has his own bar mug that is designed to work with the prosthetics as opposed to a regular. I mean, it changes your life when you go through an episode like that, because all of a sudden, back in the old days where you might be able to grip a can or a glass of something, now you can't. If it doesn't have a handle on it, it's like stairs and you're in a wheelchair. So with these prosthetic devices, how do they work? What do these guys do in order to make the clamp open and close?
Well, we're pretty much advanced right now. We do a lot of myoelectric devices. I mean, impulse from your body that makes the prosthetic to operate. And those, you're going to be trained by trained prosthetists to how to operate them.
Okay.
And the old style is those cables and wires that you use your shoulders in opening those hooks.
Yeah. So now what you're telling me is we plug in a couple of wires into the muscle?
Well, but it's not plugged in. It's more like your impulse on your muscles. They locate those impulses. So when you try to open it and close it, they detect where those areas are. And by training, you open them and close them by just operating those impulses.
Like moving your hand or something like that, or willing, if you will, the muscle to move.
That's correct.
And that makes a connection into the gizmos, into the mechanisms on these prosthetic devices.
Yeah. Nothing implanted in your body.
No, so we're not plugging in stereo equipment or home
battery
alarm system.
Operated.
They are battery operated.
Oh yes.
Okay, so they got sensors and devices like that. So like USB, you plug it into the wall and
you plug it into your car for the charging. If you go outdoors. There's no electricity out there, so you can use your cars to plug in to charge your batteries.
This is amazing stuff here, and you've got this in the same place, the same warehouse as you have the spare kneecaps, right?
Dr. Galan is doing a different thing. He's doing all the internals. I'm doing the outside.
I got you. Now, in one of the, maybe that's why it's called Handy Manny. Maybe that's the genesis of the name there. But so you've got some of that. Now we're talking about, I was talking about hands, prosthetic devices for hands. But do we have them for other things? I mean, can you outfit people for other prosthetics, leg devices, feet, toes, whatever?
Yes, mostly when Dr. Galang do all his surgeries, like amputation for below the knee or above the knee. Those are my field of work, prosthetics. Replacing those limbs, for them to be functional.
What is the process behind that? How do you do it?
Mostly physical therapy. You have to recondition their limbs and teach them how to reshape their, let's say for below the knee, try to reshape their legs, then teach them how to exercise. So the moment they get their prosthesis, they're ready to function as much, you know.
Wow. And so do you manufacture them here, or is it where we take a cast or something like that,
Well,
send it to a guy in the States, and then they come back with
Well,
it?
this is a custom made, so it needs to be, I have to take all the measurement on hand, whatever they have, then process them here. If we have them, you know, in a hospital.
Yeah, for a while. But I mean, is that the luxury that's available to you all the time, or do you find them going, okay, I'm done, I got the surgery done, no more leg, I'm going to the house. Call me when you got my leg ready, when you have the replacement ready.
Well, mostly it's better if you go to the clinics, wherever there's some manufacturers, and so they can see everything. They can assess your health. You see, this involves a lot of things.
Oh yeah,
it's not only the mold taken from your, you know, your stump. It's including your health. How can you function if you're healthy enough, and the shape of your stump, how it's been done. If it is in, you know, you don't have no contractures, or you know, your knee is ready for prosthetics, and educating them is the most.
Well, I've got to say, you're learning to walk again. It's not as simple as, you know, when you were legs go this way, legs go that way. You've got a prosthetic device. You have to learn, number one, to live with it, and number two, how to control that. And it's not going to be the same as the other legs. So it's like playing the piano. You've got one thing happening with one hand, and a whole other thing happening with another, and you've got to learn to do it simultaneously.
Well, that's the most really important thing is for them to understand how the function of the prosthesis.
Yeah,
you cannot always get them 100% what they used to have the actual leg before.
About how long does it take somebody to get used to living with a prosthetic device, a hand device or a leg device?
Well, initially, you can learn them in about 2-3 months. You can learn how to walk on it. And if you will listen, understand all the things that I instruct you or anything, you're going to do well.
You know, a couple of last month before, I want to say GRMC brought in these therapists that came in, mostly speech therapists. But I know that you've got other therapists that are available at GRMC. So at some point, you've worked as much as you can on the patient, and then you give it to another therapist, and they will take it from there for the training.
Yeah, that's the continuation of care.
And then when do they come back to see you? How often? You know, because it sounds to me like you would become a permanent part of my life. For a little bit while we're undergoing the therapy, while I'm learning to walk again, or use this to drink beer, or whatever. So I would need to come back and see you on a regular basis,
well,
right?
They will see me if they have a problem, most especially fitting. And also, prosthesis is like a shoe that you buy, you know, like you wear them, they worn out. So within 3 years, you might want to see me for me to, you know, like check what's going on with your prosthesis, if it is still in good shape, or anything needs to be replaced, parts, or it can need to be replaced, the whole thing.
So what kind of materials are we making prosthetic devices out of in 2020? What's the big? I imagine you got to go to a bunch of medical conventions and things like that, where you've got these guys that are showing you, okay, here's the state. This is the new Cadillac in prosthetic arms and legs.
Yeah, I used to go to those conventions when I was in States, but here in Guam, you know, hospital doesn't have this kind of process. So, but mostly there got
to be magazines and websites.
Yes,
and things like
well,
that.
I'm checking once in a while, but it's almost the same. What they have, different systems, different use. Like you say, if you're going to run, you know, you're not gonna have the same prosthesis with person walking.
Well, I'd like to have a choice. You know, maybe a prosthetic device that looks like you know, somebody's leg. It would look like my leg. It painted up, and you know, even right down to here's where the hair looks like before the surgery, and so that's what I'd wear when I go to the beach, right? And nobody'd know that I got a prosthetic leg.
Yeah, all of those can be done because we have the technology long time ago. But what you need is, like, let's say when you go swimming.
Yeah.
You'll be able to swim your leg, so there's another leg for that. If you're going to go running,
I don't want a blade.
Yeah, the blade.
I want those blades because there's a certain. It's got to be 100% with a return on those. It's not like running on regular legs, and you've got to. There's a minor amount of bounce that you get.
Ray, please don't get your legs cut off just to have blades,
but it's fascinating.
That just seems like something you would do.
If I got to get my times down, maybe that's the way I'm going to do something like that. Although my guess is that the good doctor over here probably would not remove one of my still functioning legs because I wanted to run faster. But I was talking about materials and things like that. Again, the idea I think with some of the prosthetics is to return functionality, but also to be able to give your patient a semblance of normalcy. I don't want to walk around with something that is obviously a prosthetic.
Yeah, we use a lot of carbon fiberglass to be more strong and lightweight.
Yeah.
And we use titanium for not getting any rust and everything. It's lightweight but strong. And we have all those different kind of movable ankles to imitate at least 80% of the function of the dorsiflexion plant, the movement of your foot, like walking in an even ground or stepping on a stone. If you have those kind of more axial, different, those expensive foot, then at least 80-90% you can get a little bit more normal walking without having a lot of problems.
Interesting conversation. Folks, if like I said, if you got questions, hit us up on Facebook Live. And usually what happens when I got folks like this here, if you've got a question that requires an answer or at least some kind of follow-through, somebody from Guam Regional Medical City is lurking on the Facebook page, and we'll be able to answer and give you contact information for these guys. How would I see you, Doc? Doc and Manny, if I decide that I've got these problems, my doctor says, well, maybe it's time that we consider seeing an orthopedic surgeon. What's the step, the procedure to go through so I'm sitting in front of you one day?
I see a lot of referrals from the local docs. A lot of times, some people who I've seen before, they just come in for the same problem.
What information should I have with me? I mean, it's... Let me talk to the technicians here. Yeah, okay, first you bring your credit card, and then we'll find out. It's like when I got my LASIK done. You go, Jack Arroyo, right? So you go to his place. He's not there anymore, but back in the day when I got my LASIK taken care of, I went there, and there's 5 or 6, 7 different tests that you've got to do, and at the end of it, the lady says, "Okay, we have one more test for you," and I said, "What's that?" She says, "The credit card test, and we're going to run your credit card for $700 an eye, and if you pass, then congratulations, you are now our customer. You are officially a patient with us."
But basically, when they referred to us, they would have all the X-rays available, MRI, whatever.
I'm sure that by the time, by the time they get to you ladies, they've got a pretty hefty folder of information for you. Are there things specifically that you're looking for? The information from a patient's doctor that they ought to have prepared.
So usually there are 2 different types of patients. Patients that are just being self-referred, meaning they don't need a referral, and they're just referring themselves. Let's say I have a knee pain, so they can come in. We can assess them, but we do tell them to bring, like if they have any documents that we're seeing outside a different clinic, bring that documents, anything related pertaining to the knee. Most especially the X-rays, put it in a CD. Dr. Galang does prefer, to see the images in a CD. And then if it's an MRI, you just bring the report.
Right.
Yeah, so those are the things that it's pretty easy to actually get seen because especially with fractures, we have a time frame that they need to be seen within a week. We receive the referral. So we call them, we schedule them, and they just be seen.
Okay. Now, I'm just going to say, in the case of a break or a fracture or something like that, wouldn't they have taken care of me in the emergency room and doing some kind of setting already? So there's a little bit of prep work that gets done. And so if I think I need to then go and see you, and then you take a look at the work that was done, the nature of the break, and then determine whether surgery is going to be required.
Temporarily, they put them in a splint. And if they need surgery, it might take another week before you do it if they're too swollen.
What kind of surgery? I mean, we were talking about different things, grafts, bone grafts, and things like that. But handyman can't be the only one that gets to play with cool technology. So I mean, if you're in the operating room, I mean, do you have something like a power drill or heavy duty screwdrivers?
We use now in orthopedics we use a lot of different plates, screws. They're actually bone specific. Let's say you're gonna use this part of the radius. There's an implant for that. The ankle, there's also an implant for that. Plate.
And are varying sizes? Because I can imagine that they would be very big, but in the kind of precise world that we live in now, you might be able to get them in very small sizes and just something that will take care of and cover up the fracture. Right. Now, are we still using power drills, or what about adhesives?
No.
There's no crazy glue?
No, we use cement once in a while for very old people or very fragile, the bone.
Yeah.
But it's not done very often.
But for the most part, so if I needed to put a plate or something like in there, then you put the plate down and then screw it in, and then that's it.
If you need a graft, we'll take it locally somewhere.
All right. Now, I told you there was going to be dumb questions here, so I'm going to be running. I'm your patient. I broke my leg, and you put a plate in there, so you keep all of the bones together, and it's strong, structurally sound, which is important. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to walk or run. But then the question is, I got to go through the airport here. What happens at the airport? Well, I've got this metal in my.
Yeah, the new ones now, they don't cause any problem.
Huh.
Yes, the old ones they do.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, they I don't know what they did to it technology-wise. They're not going to show.
All right, so it's not this. The question is, why don't the terrorists make guns out of that same material and then be able to? No, okay, so don't follow any of that bad advice that I'm handing out on the radio here. It's great to have these docs. I'm just wondering now, how did you get the name Handy Manny? This is a question so important they wrote it down on the question sheet. Why do people call you Handy Manny?
Well, I'm the MacGyver of orthopedic.
MacGyver.
Anything you need, well, Dr. Galang will ask me things on needed this kind of device, I'll produce them.
And so
anything that I can put my hands on, I will make them to be possible.
You're the guy that will procure it one way or the other.
That's correct. I'll find a way.
So the listener was asking about the AFO prototypes. What is an AFO prototype?
Well, there is a different kind of AFO. They have one that we call them off the shelves, like already small, medium, large. And they have different kind of AFO that you can use. There is the one that helps people with rough feet. Some people with, they just have some surgery on their ankle and they need some support in their movement of their ankle. They're different kinds. So it's a vast AFOs.
So go see the doctor. Doctor, take a look, see if you actually need one of these things, and if you do, then Manny will find it for you or make it for
whatever needed.
Whatever is going to be required. And Pam Duval wondering, we were talking about the different kinds of prosthetics that you can get. Get the kind that mimic what you're doing, or maybe something that you can use for running and maybe swimming. They've got a prosthetic device that is available. So, does it make your foot look like a fin?
Well, actually, the ankle of that swimming leg, there is an angle that you can lock on for the pin. So you're swimming, swimming ploppers. You angle them, lock them, and you have the ploppers, and all you have to do is use your knee.
Is use your leg. Oh, that is
then when you're going to start walking again, unlock it. Put it back in normal, then you do as from walking.
That's something else.
And this is waterproof.
Now, what Mike was talking about a couple of minutes ago and making a joke about it, no, Ray, we're not going to amputate your legs so you can get blades. Actually, there are people that do not like runners with blades, notwithstanding any of the pain or discomfort they've had to endure losing their legs. But some of the runners that take a look at guys with basically these springs that they're running with, that really does bring their times down. They're running at much faster speeds as a result of the kinetic changes, because now we're using these metal bands and there's expansion and contraction and an energy exchange that runners with their regular legs don't get. So there's runners who don't like to run in competition with these guys, and for the most part, I think they are segregated. But Pam wanted to know if they had one like in that Kingsman movie where we can get blades that are actually blades. That will cut you and slice into flesh.
Oh no, we don't. This is more like made from carbon fibers and computerized design as with a spring type. More like if you use metal for spring before, they use carbon fiber for just a spring with enough computation. Those engineers compute all the load and the unload, the energy storing of that blade. that you use depends on the person's weight
Yeah.
and activity.
So you might not be able to get the same effect as you did with the Kingsman movie. Now, was it Game of Death with Bruce Lee? What's the one where he goes to that island and he's got to beat the guy with the prosthetic that's a bear claw and a prosthetic with the knife? Come on, help me out here. I'm just saying. If I lost a hand, I'm sure I'd like to have a variety of different things that I could replace it with.
That's correct.
Right.
That's a removable hand.
Exactly.
You
So
can
you
remove it with the hooks.
Yeah.
You can put a spoon, forks.
and see, he's laughing, but I'm sure he's already done it.
Yes, I did. I've done them all for all those.
The kind of technology and the kind of folks waiting for you. There's information on Facebook Live on how you can get a hold of these guys, who your doctor needs to make arrangements with, and how to get the referrals to go see Dr. Galang and Handy Manny and the technician ladies here. Thanks so much for coming by the radio station. This is, I hope all of the rest of the partner interviews I get to do, I hope they're all as much fun as this one was today. It is a good time.
Yes, it is.
It's 9:54. I'm going to take a last break of the program. While the commercials are playing, we're going to get a couple of big selfies taken care of, and I'll wrap up the program right after these.
Hi, welcome to this ad for new Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. How do you want it?
Cheer Squad. Woo! Go Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. Woo! Give me a ham and jack slider.
Ham and Jack slider.
Give me an Italian spice slider.
Italian spice slider.
What's that spell?
It doesn't really spell anything.
New Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. Go sliders!
Subway, make it what you want.
Thanks, Nate. The movie I was talking about was Enter the Dragon. How did I keep it? That's fun. That's 888-255-888-TALK. That's fun. Where are we? 9:55 in the morning, and as the guests retire and go back to Guam Regional Medical City with the fun adventure of hanging out with Ray Gibson on 93.3 The Point. Just a little bit of time left in today's program, and I generally don't issue assignments to you. I figure that everybody knows what they're up to and knows what they ought to be looking out for in their lives. But today, it's something as simple as an email. Something as simple. Go to the legislature's website and get the email for Senator Therese Terlai. Her committee today is going to be hearing what I consider to be some of the more important bills that the legislature has got to deal with. And they are bills that Senator Jim Moylan has drafted and introduced, finally getting a public hearing. Because there's some low numbers on this here, guys, compared to where they are in the number count. These have been languishing in committee for quite some time. This community is tired of it. We are sick up and fed of the criminals getting their ways. We're tired of lousy prosecution. We're tired of lenient sentencing. And to the degree that the legislature can control what happens inside the third branch of government, the senator has got a number of bills. And I'll go over them again because it's important. A bill relative to the minimum sentences for criminal sexual conduct cases of a variety of degrees. Minimum and maximum sentences, first, second, and third degree robbery. We've got relative to association and penalties associated with crimes against tourists. We just had a couple of jugheads that reached out and chased a couple of women into the street, stole their purse. Thankfully, the cops are doing their job. This is not a cop issue. The cops are doing their job. Cops got to them within 45 minutes. Knew exactly who to go after, where they were going to find them, and so we're doing the police work. We just got to get the other end of justice taken care of. I got a couple of here on criminal sexual conduct, penalties established for aggravated arson, negligent burning, other criminal mischief. We've got pretrial. Here's another one here. What to do with people on pretrial release for a variety of crimes: criminal sexual conduct, robbery, kidnapping, distribution of controlled substances. We need to get these people in under the kind of surveillance that will allow us to know where they are 24 hours a day. Well, obviously, with as many cases as we're looking at now, of people that are screwing up their supervised release. And there's 3 or 4 stories in today's Guam Daily Post about people that have screwed up their supervised release on not just, first, second, third, right? How many times? And 23. We had a lady yesterday was going back into Clink because she missed 23 appointments with her probation officer or attempts to get herself drug tested. 23. Why are we waiting until 23? And now they said, Nick Delgado, said, well, the reason is because there's so many of them. There are so many of these folks that have pled out or whatever, gotten themselves lucky enough to be on a supervised release program, literally in the thousands, and only a handful, as is typical with any government, only a handful of people to keep track of all these folks.
Yep.
So that's the big problem. Is she didn't show up 23 times. Guess what? There's I gotta find her and another 12 people today that didn't show up 23 times.
Yeah, and I think this is a judiciary issue that we might talk to Sean about tomorrow. But they're going to have to hire more probation officers so that they can keep tabs on these people.
Well, or let's incarcerate them or use technology as our force multiplier. If we told somebody that they have to go to the lab and get themselves tested, we can tell whether they made it there or not. We can keep track of their movements. And if they don't, well, we'll know where to find them so that we can arrest them again and take them to jail. That's the whole idea. Force multipliers. Folks, now more than ever, the legislature needs to hear from you. You can go down there, and if you want to, you can submit written testimony. You can submit testimony by email. But I think, and some of the more gabby of you might be able to do this. They need to hear from you at the legislature. So if you can, put on your nice Zoris and go down to the legislature. I want to say the fun begins at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Yeah, that's right, 1 o'clock this afternoon. And don't let those senators browbeat you. Don't let them browbeat you. If they've got questions for you, you remind them that they work for you, not vice versa. 10 o'clock in the morning, the radio station is KUSG. I got you 93.3. This is The Point.
HD3.
Setting the stage. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The House making moves on impeachment this afternoon, with impeachment managers expected to be named tomorrow morning, and 2 articles of impeachment to be sent to the Senate as it prepares for a trial, and there may be a new witness.
Late today, House Committee